Hello and welcome everyone to Grid Vision. We sure are excited to be here this lovely Sunday afternoon at Richmond Raceway, the action track. We're going to have us quite a number of laps turned here in the Global Racing Truck Series, 250 on the docket. So if you're looking for a good warm-up or a good way to hype yourself up for the Cup race coming up here later, we're going to be definitely having that here today. I think we're going to see a little bit of everything here in this straight-up 250-lap race. Of course, my name is Brian Britt. I do have Austin Edstrom as my co-commentator here this day. Of course, Austin Darbyshire down behind the cameras. Definitely excited to see what we got in store for us today. Of course, a pretty cool track at the moment, 80 degrees track sign. It's going to definitely provide for quite a lot of grip this fine Sunday afternoon. How are you doing today, Austin?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm ready to see the Global Racing Truck League here put on a good show. It seems every week that we're broadcasting them, the show just kind of gets better and better. And we're, like you said, we're at the action track, so I'm expecting some pretty good action here.
Yeah, I definitely agree to that for sure. I don't think we have a points graphic here today, but I'll go ahead and go through the top 10. Chad McGinley at the top of the board. I do believe he took the points lead last week. Second place, Stephen Hayes. Third place, Dale Brooks. Fourth place, Ricky Hudgens. Fifth place, Mark Royce. Sixth place, up a spot, Steve Gerber. Seventh place, up a spot, Michael Hayes. Eighth place, down 2 spots, unfortunately, Jeff Weimer. Ninth place, up a spot, David Holsey. And, of course, 10th, up a spot, EJ Luna. So definitely some movers and shakers in the points here. Let's take a quick look at the schedule for the coming week. This will be a very exciting schedule. I know we have a lot of races ahead of us this coming week. As, of course, Monday, we don't have really anything going on. Hopefully, maybe we'll get a leak to cover then. Of course, Tuesday, Martinsville in the Champion Power Equipment Truck Series, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Looking forward to that one for sure. They're going to get rough and rowdy at Martinsville, I have no doubt. Of course, the following day on Wednesday, Thunderclap action takes us to Dover. And that is going to be a good track considering Ryan Truex, notoriously good at that place, has won there in the real life in the Xfinity car. And guess what car they're driving? The Xfinity car. Tune in with us 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Friday, we're going to continue our NIS coverage. And I'll tell you, I had a ball calling them on this past Friday. Really clean racing. I expect Michigan's going to be the same way, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Or Sunday, this next Sunday, I should say, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I do believe we're going to be at Michigan as well. So, and I'm excited about that. Michigan is one of my favorite tracks on the service, to call and to race. I mean, it's always so action-packed. It's like a super speedway and a mile and a half kind of in one,
Yeah, Michigan's a fun track. I'm definitely looking forward to NIS on Friday night. I mean, I've enjoyed calling all the NIS races so far that we've done, and Michigan is a exciting racetrack, so I'm definitely looking forward to that. But just like Michigan, I'm looking forward to this race right here. You mentioned in the points, Dale Brooks, he was the leader. He had a good, comfortable lead, but he's missed a couple races, and then at Pocono, he just had internet issues and couldn't actually contend. So I'm interested to see what Dale Brooks can do here. I haven't gotten to see him since I started broadcasting with us, so starting P4 today for him.
Yeah, he's usually always a threat to win some of these races. I mean, he's one of those guys that, might not start out the best, but he always adjusts on the car as the race goes on. And as you can see, it's quite, I'd say, it looks like it's going to be turning maybe dark as this race goes on, as we do have the starting grid lineup ready for us. Stephen Hayes going to be starting up on the pole. He's been having a really good season. Chad McGinley up in second place, was fastest in practice. Third place, Austin McGill, who has been on a tear here as of late. Fourth place, Dale Brooks. Fifth place, Daniel Ott. Sixth place, DJ Honeycutt. Glad to see him back. I know he's a very consistent driver. Seventh place, Matthew Escalara. Eighth place, Stephen Knight. Definitely a really good qualifying effort there for the 79. Ninth place, Justin LeBlanc. And 10th, David Holsey.
Starting out row 6, we've got Steve Gerber on the outside. In 12th, we have Don Blazier. 13th, Bobby Mantle. 14th, Jeffrey Weimer. 15th, Mike Hayes. 16th, Mark Royce. 17th, William Brown the 4th. 18th, Joshua Slade. 19th, EJ Luna. 20th, Ricky Hudgens II. 21st, Ron Harrington. 22nd, Ron Holmes. And 23rd, Kenny Heath.
Yeah, nice 23 car field here. Definitely, I'd say that's a perfect number for a track like Richmond. I think these guys are gonna be fighting for real estate today. I think that's gonna be a big deal that these guys are going to have to deal with. Of course, 4 sets of tires actually going to be down in the pits here. I talked to a little bit of
4?
some. Yeah, I do believe so. This is going to be kind of tough. I mean, we've seen this before, though. I mean, I think we had a race. The New Hampshire race was really long. Those guys still made it through that. I mean, so I suspect that this is going to really, the long run is going to be, that's what it's all going to be about.
Sorry for the interruption there, but that dumbfounded me. They've got 5 total sets throughout the whole race. That adds a ton of strategy. They're going to have to average 50 laps per set. That's going to end up turning really interesting. I'm very interested to see how people conserve those on the early pit stops if we have early cautions. And, you know, Richmond can kind of lend itself to cautions. You know, you get those long green flag runs after you get spread out, but it's kind of hard to get to that spread out point. So I'm definitely interested to see how that works out. You know, coming off of turn 2 on these restarts, I feel like the trucks and the Cup car, you know, we called NIS here Friday. I feel like both of those vehicles are just pretty similar in terms of what you're fighting, right? So you're probably going to be pretty tight in the center and then have a lot of wheel in it. You know, I've been mentioning push loose so frequently. You're probably going to see a lot of push loose conditions off of turn 2. So hopefully we can be pretty clean and green here at the beginning of the race.
Yeah, I think eventually we'll get clean and green, just considering there might not be any trucks left. We'll see how that kind of goes. But, I mean, it's definitely these guys. I mean, these guys were really clean at New Hampshire. I suspect that they're going to be very clean here tonight or today as well. 103 laps, so it's the estimated fuel from what I've been told from some of the drivers out there. So, yeah, I don't think gas is really going to be much of a concern. I think before gas runs out, they're going to be probably grabbing a set of tires. Of course, pace car lights are out here. We definitely appreciate y'all joining us here on a lovely Sunday afternoon here for some racing, some truck racing at the action track. Richmond, definitely going to be an exciting track. It's kind of hard to pass here, but then also it is possible to race side by side at this place. So definitely excited to see if these guys can manage to have some really good action racing. So it looks like the pace car is going to be dipping down pit road. Stephen Hayes with the field in hand as he's got the green flag. Chad McGinley really able to predict that start very well. Side by side into turn 1. It looks like Hayes, though, does pull ahead, and he is going to secure the lead. Here comes Austin McGill trying to get to the inside, I do believe, of the 28 of Chad McGinley, and it looks like he's going to get there. Is he going to slide up? No, I think he's going to hold the bottom, and I think we got a new second place. Oh, a little bit loose out of turn 4. Chad McGinley now going to fall outside of the top 5 from a loose condition, now back to 6. Austin McGill, I'm sorry.
That was a good save, though, coming out of turn 4. You know, you don't want to compound a mistake early. Kind of sucks to see him fall back to P6 there, but, you know, not too bad, and we know how fast Austin McGill is, so he'll probably be able to pick up a couple more spots. But, yeah, coming out of turn 4, man, it's just a really loose kind of condition coming out on cold tires here on the beginning of the race. Maybe you're just trying to get a little bit too much too early, but they're all clean so far behind them.
Okay, I know a lot of Austin, so y'all please bear with me. But here comes David Olsey. He's making some moves right now, trying to work on, I do believe, Mark Royce at the moment. Royce up on the top side. I know in the NIS race we saw in the Cup car, you could make moves on the high side, and I think that's going to be something we possibly could see here today. One thing that's also different about these trucks versus the Cup car, though, they're actually faster, Austin. Isn't that something that, you know, to see these actually cars or trucks turn faster laps than the Cup cars do?
Yeah, it's a little interesting, but I believe the NIS heat was like 124 degrees at race start. I want to say the track temperature is 80, so that could definitely have a little bit to do with it. But I do. Oh, Mark Royce makes a little bit of contact, just about clearing himself over Steve Gerber's nose coming off of turn 2 there. But you know, I think that has a little bit to do with it. But I mean, the trucks might also be faster than the Cup cars in real life. I think that's been a kind of consistent issue that a lot of people have been bringing up throughout the year. People hating that the Xfinity car is faster and the truck's faster at certain places. So hopefully that'll get ironed out as the Cup car becomes, I don't know, it just kind of gets more dialed in, and maybe they'll add some horsepower to it to kind of even that out, because it's a little bit of a joke to see the main series be the slowest out of the top 3 touring series.
Well, I don't even know that it's a power deal. I think the Cup cars have more power. I think that might be what the problem is. And to be honest with you, I think a lot of times you're just not able to get as much grip off the corner. I think these trucks are really just able to to power off the corner a lot better because of they're not spinning the tires as much. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm not an expert. We do have a battle for second place though. Dale Brooks has gotten by Chad McGinley, and he does get clear now up to the second position. Of course, he's got about 6/10 to get up there to Stephen Hayes. You also see David Holsey still battling with Mark Royce. These guys have been battling for quite a while. 8th and 9th right now on the track.
Yeah, and Austin McGill's done a good job too. You know, he fell back to 6th. He's now climbed back up to 4th, picked up 2 more of those spots. So Austin McGill did a good job saving there on the first lap. Oh, Mark Royce gets a little tight exiting too, just about hits the fence, but he does a good job keeping it out of it. A lot of just like almosts throughout the field. You know, we just, you know, it's a tight track, you know, and everybody on these restarts are just kind of fighting for every little bit of real estate they can get. So I'm not really too surprised to see all that, but Mark Royce started 16th and he's already up to 8th place.
I'm a little worried though. We've seen this kind of behavior from Mark Royce before. I think he burns his tires up a lot of times, and I think that he might be doing that right now. I mean, especially with the line he's running. He's running a lot higher. I know in the Cup car you can kind of run that higher line and it doesn't burn the tires up quite as much, but I think the truck it very much does. What is your thoughts on that?
Well, I think we learned from Friday night from Briar LaPrade that the bottom, especially in 3 and 4, and really not using all of the racetrack is the way to go. It showed that, I mean, Briar LaPrade's an alien in terms of speed anyway, but it really showed on the long run. He just did such a good job saving his tires because he would come off the corner so low and straight and not use a lot of throttle until he absolutely had to. So seeing Mark Royce run a lane and a half up in 3 and 4 every time, I'd be willing to bet that you're right about him burning up his stuff.
Also seeing a big battle going on between Steve Gerber. Gerber just got loose. Oh, that was close. Michael Hayes jumps down in front of Gerber. Almost had some contact. Here comes Michael Hayes to the inside of David Holsey. Battle for the 9th place position. Of course, I remember, I do believe last week, Michael Hayes was one of the fastest cars in the field at Pocono, if I'm not mistaken. So I think he's got something to prove here today.
Yeah, I'm surprised he started so deep in the field. He ran the 15th fastest lap time, so he's done a good job, you know, climbing back up here in 15 laps too. But after Pocono, I really expected him to start, you know, top 5-ish because he was just so good there. Led most of the race, got passed by his brother on the last lap, and you know his brother put it on pole. So I expected to see Michael up front earlier, but I definitely wouldn't count him out after seeing how much speed he had at Pocono last week. Mark Royce gets in the fence a little bit again off at turn 4. I think we're starting to see those tires hurt him. His right rear might be falling off a little bit. Ooh, Michael Hayes tries to pull a little bit of a slider there. He's actually going to get clear coming off the corner. Ends up being a pretty good move. David Holsey made sure he didn't get to his left rear quarter panel in the middle of the corner. And looks like both of them are going to go through on Mark here.
Yeah, Mark, I think he probably wants desperately to try to get to the bottom at this point to kind of see if he can't, you know, put a Band-Aid on his losses here. He might be able to slide down in front of Steve Gerber, but I think Gerber's going to want to see if he can't take advantage as well. But what a race. Stephen Hayes out to a second lead right now over Dale Brooks. He has definitely been really quick. But look at Austin McGill's lap times versus everybody. Actually, Austin McGill, last time by, fastest on the racetrack, 22.314. He's actually all over Dale Brooks' back bumper here.
Yeah, Austin McGill is just so quick. And I think he did a good job after that little initial spin to not completely kill his stuff. You know, he has been moving forward, but I mean, we've seen from a couple other drivers, they're starting to move back after they were moving forward early. It's just really about saving tires. I mean, they only have 5 total tire sets for a 250 lap race at a track that has massive tire wear. So saving here early would definitely be the play. And I don't know, I think most of the trucks in the top 10 have done that job. Mark Royce has fallen back out of the top 10 after climbing to 8th early. So I think we're just kind of seeing the mixture of, you know, it's not really like a strategy call on top of the pit box, but it's definitely tire strategy in the sense of, you know, do you want to burn it up quick and get a bunch of positions, hope for a caution, or do you want to save and be fast at the end of the run? We're already seeing that come into play here.
Seeing a green flag stop here from Daniel Watt. This is not a scheduled stop. I do believe he is calling it quits. He is actually going to be stopped. He's not even stopped in his box right now. He's taking a tow. And looks like that is going to be it for Daniel Watt's race. Unfortunately, usually a very competitive driver. Seems like he's having some issues today.
Yeah, I'd heard some contact earlier in a previous lap. I'm not sure if it was him getting anywhere. I don't know I didn't really see him get into the fence, but we've got a pass for second. Austin McGill continues his march towards the front. Even with that pass, he hasn't lost any time on Stephen Hayes. So I expect Austin McGill to be putting some pressure here on him in about 10, 15 laps. He's been fast.
Yeah, hopefully he just doesn't fall victim to that carrot on a stick mentality. That's kind of one of my things I always say, and it's so easy to do. I mean, you got us a second ahead of you. You know you're faster than him, and it's easy to make that mistake to try to chase him down. But I mean, I think you should just let him naturally come to you, and don't try to push it. I think that's going to be the big deal for McGill.
Yeah, and that gap, it's kind of stabilized, so maybe he's listening. Maybe he did burn him up just a little bit, but I mean, with the gap that Stephen Hayes pulled out at the beginning of this run, I wouldn't be surprised if he burned him up just a little bit more than he cares to. But he has been about even with McGill the last couple laps. We'll see again as they come across the stripe. McGill, he was a little under a tenth faster that time, so McGill's definitely running them down a little bit, but that is a pretty big gap, so it's probably going to take him a couple laps here.
Yeah, I'm looking right now back to Mark Royce. He has fallen like a rock through this field. Now back to 14th, and under fire, we got some almost a 3-wide scenario here as William Brown and I do believe the 12 of Joshua Slade are trying to get by, I do believe, Jeff Weimer as well as Mark Royce. I think Royce is starting to hold a lot of these drivers up here, and we have the conditions of what could be a recipe for disaster.
Oh,
I think they will go 3-wide. Here we go. Oh, that was close. Richmond's not a track I'd recommend 3-wide. It's possible, but it's very, very much a limited, I'd say, real estate out here.
Yeah, it's easier to do it once you, I don't know, if they're too wide in front of you coming off at 2. If you're the kind of third car in line, you can peek down to the bottom and make it 3 going into turn 3. I think it's a lot more doable in that corner. But if you just get put randomly 3 wide on the exit of 2, I mean, that's the recipe for danger. We see wrecks like that all week, and in A Open, C Open, it doesn't matter. That's just kind of been a hotbed for accidents. I haven't seen anybody kind of make the AE Open NIS mistake where you get just too deep into turn 3 and lock up the left front. I haven't seen that at all tonight, so maybe that's not as big of an issue in the trucks here, but coming out of turn 2, 3 wide, it just doesn't matter. It's going to be a recipe for disaster.
And you see how hard Jeff Weimer's trying to get behind Mark Royce right now. He got really loose off of turn 2 as they still battle. Looks like Weimer will get, no, not quite. Still hasn't got clear. And you see Don Blazier trying to see if he can't take advantage of all these slower cars. And Blazier now trying to get underneath the 73. This is just, William Brown Jr. getting really close to the rear end of Don Blazier. Of course, all this is happening for, I do believe, the 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th position. Of course, Joshua Slade was involved in this, but he quickly got by this. He was like, "See y'all later. I'm not dealing with this."
Yeah, and he's gapped them all by a second. I'm kind of interested looking back up towards the lead. Austin McGill's actually lost about 2 more tenths to Stephen Hayes, so maybe he has kind of worn his stuff up a little bit worse than Hayes has. Hayes is running a nice smooth line there through 1 and 2. Maybe not using all the racetrack on the bottom, but he got a good straight exit off. You can kind of look behind, and McGill actually came off straighter and lower. So I kind of like McGill's line more in terms of tire saving. But I mean, he's losing a little bit of time to Stephen Hayes, so I could be wrong about that. He lost another 2 tenths there, so Stephen Hayes has his truck dialed in.
Yeah, and I think part of it as well is that he possibly did hurt his tires, almost spinning out there. I mean, anytime you go sideways like that, it's not going to be conducive to your tires, and also him trying to recover, I think also is probably not good for his tires. So hopefully we'll see what happens. I mean, these guys, long race to go. I'm wondering what pit stop strategy is going to look like. I talked about it earlier. 100 laps of fuel that you have. Tires are limited. When do you pit, Austin?
Well, let's see. If you divide 250 by the 5 tire sets they have, you would want to pit. Oh, sorry. I'm calculating. Well, like I said, it's every 50, but divide it by 3 because I feel like you want to split it into thirds if it's a green flag run. And so I would pit every 83 laps about. That seems to be a third of 250. So if you want to go absolutely on a third, 83 laps to 166 and then run it out another 83. But it's also kind of determined on who you're running and how far of a distance you have to them and when they pit. So, if I'm Austin McGill and I see Stephen Hayes pit before me, I would are already probably a little upset because I feel like you would probably want a short pit to gain that time. But the only problem is you got to be within probably a second to make that short pit work, because he could just cover you off one lap later. So McGill definitely needs to run Stephen Hayes down a little bit more, but he's got plenty of time until that first kind of scheduled pit stop. He's got another 50 laps or so.
I'll tell you, someone who's been moving through the field quite substantially, Michael Hayes. So we see a big battle there. I do believe Stephen Knight battling with Ricky Hudgens. I do believe Hudgens has cleared him, and now he's up to 11th place. Stephen Knight falling through the field. He had a really good qualifying effort. If I'm not mistaken, I think Knight qualified in 8th place. So unfortunately, he's falling through the field. But you can see Michael Hayes. I was talking about him. He is now side by side with Justin LeBlanc, moving up to 6th. Michael Hayes is moving through this field, and he's turning some really fast laps as well. So this is not a surprise. Those Lone Star guys have been just really, really incredible all season long. Always in contention to win races, and they're a new team this season, and definitely don't seem like it, that's for sure. They're like Trackhouse out here.
Yeah, they're doing great. I mean, Michael Hayes, like we mentioned, he started 15th. We're only 37 laps into this, and he's obviously saved his tires really well if he's still moving up through the field at this point. That lap, we'll see kind of how he is to the leader. The leader ran a 22.906, and Michael ran a 22.907. So he's on the leader's pace. McGill's a little bit faster than both right now, but hey, I mean, if he keeps that pace up, he'll be in the top 3 by the end of this, and we'll be interviewing him again.
Yeah, I definitely think so. He's definitely catching up to DJ Honeycutt. He's got a top 5, I think, coming to him for sure. Of course, long way to go. Still a lot of opportunity for something to go wrong. I think that's the big thing. I mean, this is 250 laps. I mean, you got to not make a mistake 250 laps. I mean, that's a lot of time. I mean, these trucks, of course, they did adjust the damage model to where they're not quite as vulnerable, but you hit the wall right here at Richmond, your race could be very much over. I mean, this is a fast track on the straightaways. You miss a corner, you go up into that wall, it's gonna hurt you. That's for sure. And you know, something you definitely don't want to have happen. Especially, I mean, you're having to go through lap traffic as well. You see Ron Harrington there now a lap down.
Yeah, and with the new damage model on the trucks, you know, maybe you're not completely worried about damage on the first hit or the second hit, but I do think the progressive hits have a higher chance of breaking like a toe link or whatever in the, well, I guess there's not a toe link, right, but breaking something in the truck. So I've definitely had that issue. I believe it was Charlotte in the next gen car whenever they had it. You know, I just kind of hit the wall 5 or 6 times, and the 6th one was probably the least damaging, or at least I would have thought the least damaging hit, and that's the one that broke my car. So I do think that progressive hits are a net negative, and especially over a 250 lap race, it can be very easy to do that at a track like Richmond, where, you know, turn 2 is just so tight on exit.
Yeah, I mean, and when you hit it one time, you're more likely to hit it another time, whether that just be dwelling on the simple mistake you made. And a lot of times when you dwell on that mistake, you're likely to make it again because you're not really focusing on the future or the present, I should say. And also, when you hit the wall, I think it damages some of those components that might tighten the truck up and make you even more likely to hit the wall. So we see Joshua Slade now battling, I do believe, at the moment. I do believe Mark Royce actually just went a lap down. You can tell Royce, he burnt his tires slap up for him to be going a lap down already.
Yeah, it sucks because he ran all the way up to 8th place, and now he's what, back to, oh man, back all the way to 19th, and the
net loss.
Truck a lap down. That's a big loss after it looked like he was flying at the beginning of this race. But, you know, maybe he'll get the lucky dog at some point and be able to kind of right his wrongs, right? You know, maybe he just knows, hey, I burned up my stuff too much. Next time we're just going to take it a little bit easier. I mean, he's putting a ton of wheel in it, though, and that could just be a product of the fact that he wore out his right front too much early. But if he's putting that much wheel in it at the beginning of the run, too, that's why he's burning tires. I mean, look at McGill coming off of 4. I mean, there was just about no wheel in it, or about half of the wheel in it compared to Mark Royce coming off at 2. Let's stay with him going through 1 and 2 just to see what he's doing. You know, oh yeah, it's a little bit more than he uses in 3 and 4, but, you know, Mark Royce was all the way just about off the screen with that orange stripe, and McGill was only about halfway there. So, you know, if Mark Royce can maybe adopt that mindset going into the next run, you know, maybe he'll be able to figure it out and have a better long-run truck.
Otherwise, Joshua Slade right now, he's battling with Ricky Hudgens for the 11th place position. Slade has been really on the move, and he was the same way last week. at Pocono. Was one of the fastest trucks on the track. Had some interesting strategy calls that got him up into the lead, I do believe, at one point last week. And I suspect that he has a lot of pace to be able to maybe make something happen here today, but it always seems like he has trouble actually finishing races. And it looks like we might have Stephen Knight thinking about coming down. No, I thought he was, the way he pulled off, I thought he was going to be coming off down pit road, but I think he just got really loose or was just letting some guys go. But yeah, Slade just, I think, I don't know what happens to where he just doesn't really finish as well as he could. Oh, somebody slow in the front of these guys. Looks like that's Ron Harrington. Hits the wall out of 2. You were just talking about guys hitting the wall out of 2. And lo and behold, there it happens.
Yeah, it's just so easy to do. I mean, you think you're completely fine coming out the corner, and then the little bump on the top side of turn 2 just kind of hits you out of nowhere. And if you just get a little loose, you know, and you're coming out right next to the wall anyway, you just are going to get loose into it and give it a little love tap. No harm, no foul, though. I think Ron's all right. He is a lap down right now, but still holding steady, not having any damage. So, you know, if he gets some of their caution, we'll see what Ron Harrington can do, and maybe he'll be able to move forward a little bit against some of the other cars a lap down. But yeah, Joshua Slade,
cars right
great.
now. Go ahead.
Joshua Slade, he's, you know, kind of continuing the positive momentum from Pocono. I think that he was in one of the accidents late, and that's kind of why his finish kind of diminished, but he still did a good job picking his way through the field a little bit. I think he's finished in the top 10. I'm pretty confident on that. So, you know, Joshua Slade, I think he's just kind of figuring out one race at a time, getting better and better, and he's kind of hounding Ricky Hodges here. He's been, you know, about 2/10 off of his bumper here for a few laps, and, you know, we'll see if he can make a charge for the top 10. I think he's done a good, or he's kind of gone to school on saving tires a little bit after the New Hampshire thing, and, you know, after, I mean, especially Pocono, I mean, he was so good on the old tires. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he can figure out here later in this run. We're about, what, 20% of this race is complete now. We've got 50 laps done, so the gap to the lead is still hovering at 1.8. So Stephen Hayes, Austin McGill doing a great job up front.
Yeah, we do have a big battle. I've been watching this kind of develop as it's been going on. Dale Brooks and Chad McGinley now side by side. Brooks up on the top side, Chad McGinley down low. And they got lap traffic. Mark Royce, the guy we talked about who's struggling. This is going to cause a 3-wide scenario possibly. As, of course, as DJ Honeycutt's in the mix, Michael Hayes. Oh, Mark Royce all the way up to the top. He actually gets into the wall. But luckily, that will allow these guys to safely pass him. But I do believe Chad McGinley, I think he might have this. He's been really fast against Brooks, but I think Brooks is really pinching him down, not allowing him to really get the runs and getting the momentum that he needs off the corner here. As you see Honeycutt, I think Honeycutt's, he's been really good at saving tires. He always has been. Every time I've ever seen this 15 car, he's always not like blazing fast, but he's always really good at conserving his tires. So I think we should watch out for this 15, that he might get a podium here tonight. Of course, he's just recently, I do believe, joined the Lone Star group. So I do expect a lot from that 15.
Yeah, it looks like Dale gave him a little bit more room this time, but he's probably going to get a really good run off the corner and just be side by side again. You know, this is definitely, this is burning both their tires up, so I imagine one of them probably is going to have to give here pretty soon as Chad McGinley gets just a little tight entering turn 1, almost gets Dale Brooks in the left rear, puts Dale off for the exit just a little bit, and they're still going to be side by side going down the backstretch. I mean, Chad McGinley's just been hounding them lap after lap, not able to get by, and they're kind of got a queue starting behind them. They brought DJ Honeycutt, Michael Hayes, Justin LeBlanc might be a part of this group here in a few laps. David Holsey, I mean, they're all right under a blanket here for about 3rd place. So it's interesting. Chad might get him here coming off at turn 2, but I think Dale's still going to have his right rear quarter panel coming off the corner.
A little bit of a loose condition there from the 28. He almost had it. If he could have just, if Dale was like a few inches back further, I think he could have slid up and took that spot. He's getting loose. You can tell the 28 starting to get really loose on the exits here. I think he's pushing it too hard. I think it's really starting to show. But I don't know. Let's see what kind of run he gets out of 2. Big run. Oh, damn. Both of them get loose. And here comes Michael Hayes as well to the inside of DJ Honeycutt. Michael Hayes has been really driving his way through this field, but he's going to definitely have to tackle this obstacle of trying to get by Chad McGinley and Dale Brooks as they remain side by side. Also, David Holsey, I do believe, is trying to go side by side with Justin LeBlanc. So we're seeing side by side for 3rd, side by side for 5th, and side by side for 7th. You love to see it here at the action track. It's definitely delivering.
Oh, Chad might have him here finally. He's going to slide up. He's just going to take the lane. He's like, nah, this is mine, finally. You could tell he's just been a little frustrated. He was using more and more of the racetrack coming off at turn 2, saying, come on, man, give me the spot, give me the spot. We've been doing this for too long. And we are kind of coming up on the first. Oh, Dale Brooks gets a little loose. Both of them get loose. That's just from a hard product of them just racing hard nonstop for lap after lap. Oh, man, that was a little scary. And now Dale Brooks goes back to about, I believe it's 5th place. No, he's actually going to be back in 6th. Chad McGinley keeps his spot, though. So just a product of hard racing, good save on both drivers. And we're easing up on about 20 laps to go until I expect our first pit stops.
Yeah, that was an amazing save from Dale Brooks. And, it doesn't surprise me. Dale Brooks is always really good at saving the race car. But, of course, that is going to definitely take a few percentages out of their tires, I'd say, for sure. I also want to come back to the front a little bit here. Austin McGill has been running down now Stephen Hayes. Now 1.2 seconds. Last we looked at it, it was about 1.7 seconds, 1.8 seconds. He is absolutely just running him down. So I would suspect that Austin McGill this whole time has been saving tires.
Yeah, and he's kind of easing into the range where the short pit could work, right? Where he could pit just one lap earlier on Stephen Hayes and actually take the lead off of him if he has a good pit entry. So I really think Austin McGill has done a great job towards the middle part of this run, saving his tires. Stephen kind of pulled out a little bit of a gap. I think it was up to 1.8 or 2 seconds. But McGill has definitely cut that back down, and I think Stephen Hayes is about to be in a little bit of lap traffic as well.
Yeah, I think he actually just got by a lap car, Ronald Holmes, in that beautiful green scheme there.
Yeah, and that cost him 3/10.
He's also going to be having to deal with, I do believe, Stephen Knight as well. He's got a lot of lap traffic coming up, and I think he's going to continue to have lap traffic. I mean, you see that battle we saw for 3rd place. That actually hurt those guys quite a bit. I mean, I think there's a possibility that whoever wins this race laps up to 5th or something like that. I mean, it's possible, just considering, how long this race is, how green it's been going. But I mean, and also, like, the more these guys battle, Richmond's a track that when you're battling, it causes you to lose track time. I mean, a lot like Pocono last week. Of course, they're much different tracks, but when you're side by side at Pocono, side by side at Richmond, you're losing time.
Yeah, the side-by-side at Pocono is more because you're side-drafting each other down the straightaway, and the side-by-side at Richmond loses you time because you just can't get off the corner. The guy on the outside doesn't get to run the preferred line, but he gets the good run off the corner, and the guy on the bottom runs the preferred line through the corner, but then he can't get the run off the corner because he's getting pinched down. So it's kind of two different styles of why you're losing time, but the side-by-side, it doesn't matter where you're at. It's just going to cost you a load of time.
Yeah, and that's going to end up with you possibly going a lap down, as we see side by side. Dale Brooks trying to hold off David Holsey. This is the battle for 6th place right now, and Holsey's been looking really good. I think he's been another one that's been saving tires. Those 5 Aces machines, I think, have really good long run pace right now. I think they're really putting that on display. I know I think they.
Nothing. Go ahead. There's just a little minor call out.
Okay. But I mean, I just think that they were kind of. I think Halsey was struggling a little bit earlier. I think he's starting to really come to his own right now. But he's struggling to get the passes completed. I mean, Brooks is not an easy guy to pass. This guy is a thorn in the side. A very clean driver, but he's going to make you earn it. That is for sure.
Yeah, and he made Chad McGinley earn it earlier. And, David Holsey gets by him a little bit easier. Maybe Dale is just kind of wearing up his stuff after that battle with Chad because he's honestly fallen a good ways off of McGinley ever since he's gotten by him. So maybe Dale just kind of wore up his tires on that high side a little bit too much. Maybe it would have been a smarter play just to give the position up and save the tires with them being so important here. But I'm really surprised as the battle for the lead's tightening up. Surprised to see Bobby Mantle go a lap down so early. We've seen him have a lot of speed at Mid-Ohio and I believe it was New Hampshire. He was really quick, top 5 driver. Oh, at 73 gets on the wall. Jeff Weimer in front of the leader. Oh my goodness, that's a butt pucker moment for Stephen Hayes there. I mean, his race almost went up in smoke seeing that. But the battle for the lead's tightening up. Austin McGill just got a little loose coming off at 2, so you can tell that he's absolutely pushing it, trying to cut into that lead that Stephen Hayes has built. And we're about 12 laps away from the scheduled pit stops, and McGill is right there.
Yeah, but now he's having to deal with that same 73. And I'm surprised, really. You talk about Bobby Mantle going a lap down. I'm surprised about Jeff Weimer. I mean, Weimer, just a few races ago, was looking fantastic. I mean, the guy seemed like he couldn't put a tire wrong. Of course, he wasn't necessarily winning races, but he was definitely getting some good top 10 finishes and, was really moving up the point standings. That whole Dirty South crew, I think they just seem like they're struggling a lot more than they have in past. I'd say. I mean, they look like they've really had positive momentum, but in this race, and last week, and I think I know Dale Brooks is usually the kind of the mastermind when it comes to setups for that team. And I think that he has not had the time to spend as much time as he needs to on really making those setups. He's very talented at building them. And I'm hoping that with Brooks, I hope that as these pit stops go on, he's laying in adjustments. He's telling his teammates to do adjustments, and they're going to be able to kind of catch up to the rest of the teams in this race.
Yeah, and this. I think we're going to go ahead and take a commercial break here before we get to green flag pit stops.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Grid Vision's production here, a presentation of the Global Racing Truck Series at Richmond Raceway. Of course, my name is Brian Britt. I have Austin Edstrom as my co-commentator, Austin Derbyshire as my, of course, producer here tonight, or today, I should say. And there it is, green flag stops. We were just wondering about that as we were under commercial. And it looks like Michael Hayes and DJ Honeycutt going to be leading the charge down pit road. Dale Brooks, I think this is out of necessity here for Dale Brooks. I think he's been following through the field, probably going to be having massive adjustments to that race car. And I think Austin McGill, if I was him, I would be coming down pit road here as well. I think that I would just drop down and try to short pit Steve Hayes to jump him to where I don't have to try to battle him. He's right there. All he's got to do is be able to gain 0.6 on him.
Yeah, we've seen how much you can just kind of hold position. You know, we saw Dale Brooks hold on to it for lap after lap after lap on Chad McGinley. So if McGill could short pit him, and I'm sure they've had, hell, we'll check right now. Yeah, they've had over a second of fall off. So if he pits right now, he'll easily jump Stephen Hayes by about half a second if he can come down pit road first. Maybe he couldn't that time because there was another truck coming to pit road. It is dependent on how good you can get down, but if he short pits and takes the lead, it's going to be hard for Steven to get it back from him.
Oh, we got contact on pit road. Matthew Escalera and EJ Luna just hit each other on pit road. I do believe EJ was coming off of pit road while Escalera was trying to get into his box. And I don't think it's too substantial contact, but that was kind of interesting. I did not expect to see beating and banging on pit road.
Yeah, that was actually a harder hit than I would expect coming on a pit road, as they were both going opposite directions. EJ Luna does actually have a little bit of damage to the right front, so definitely not what he wanted to see. Damage on pit road, that's a tough one. I'm going to try to see if Escalera has some damage as well, but think
see a lot of
Escalera
left
got away
there.
scot-free, but EJ definitely got some right front damage.
And I what you want to see, and that happens in real life. Miscommunications on pit road, guys going in the box, guys coming out of the box. I mean, a lot of times, two guys going for the same real estate on pit road, same as the racetrack, can cause issues as we have some more guys on pit road. I do believe that's Jeff Weimer. Chad McGinley. I really like this call from Chad McGinley. I know that he was 6 seconds back before this pit stop from the leaders, but once he had gotten past and won that battle for third, he really was starting to catch up. I mean, that battle for third had cost him a significant amount of time. He had fallen back, but then he actually gained time back on the 2 leaders. So I think Chad McGinley, if we get a late race caution or something like that, that 28 is definitely in contention for a win. He's fast here today.
He definitely is, but we've got the leader coming down pit road. The short pit is not going to be an option for Austin McGill. Stephen Hayes makes the call earlier than him. It's a little bit past the 1/3 mark, so I'm kind of surprised that neither of them had done it beforehand. Maybe McGill's trying to stretch his fuel load a little bit to get to the end on one stop. Nope, Austin McGill comes in the very next lap. So, I guess he's thinking I'll have the 1 lap fresher tires for the rest of the race, right? So maybe that's his strategy call, but he is going to lose another second onto Stephen Hayes just on the new tires from being 1 lap later on pit road.
Yeah, this is interesting how this could all play out. I'm definitely very, very curious. David Holsey now up to the lead at the moment. And who's to say we don't have us a caution or something like that that really comes out here and causes some issues. Now a lot of drivers on different tires as well. I mean, we have, I do believe, the top 6 at the moment on old tires. Well, should I say no, Austin McGill just pitted. And
wow. McGill is losing a ton of time right here to Stephen Hayes, I believe.
Oh, wow.
An absolute ton. I don't know what's going on with Austin McGill, but he's still stuck on pit road.
He's got a penalty. He is still sitting in his box. He's been in here for 30 seconds. I do believe he has gotten a speeding penalty. That is a heartbreaker for Austin McGill. That is an amateur mistake right there. I mean, that's a mistake
huge at Richmond.
You don't want to do that at Richmond. He is going to be pretty much out of contention unless some type of caution comes out. For the lead, Stephen Hayes has got to be happy. He has got to be probably ecstatic. Like, yeah, no one else is even close to Hayes right now on his strategy.
I don't know where. Maybe it's just coming into the. Oh, he sped up to 44 miles an hour coming into his box. He was going perfect all the way down. Typically it's on pit road entry that you get that kind of penalty, but he was going 39 to 40 all the way down, and he gets to the kink right before his pit box, and he speeds all the way up to 44 miles an hour. I don't know. That was just maybe he just had a little heavy foot coming into pit road and was more focused on his box instead of his throttle. But I mean, that's a costly mistake. He's going to probably fall a lap and a half behind Stephen Hayes whenever it all cycles out.
Yeah, Michael Hayes is up to second. Of course, he is on I do believe, vastly different strategy here than Stephen Hayes last time by. He was about a half a second slower. But I'm guaranteeing you, Austin McGill, instead of going 44 mile an hour, I bet he wish he doubled it and went 88 and went back in time to undo that mistake.
Oh, my God. That was a good one. I got to give you that. Oh, but yeah, I mean, for sure. I'm sure he's heartbroken over that, and I'm sure he's praying for a caution now. Let's see, he's all the way back in 19th place. I mean, he was so fast, probably had a race-winning caliber truck, and just, I mean, that's such a minor mistake to make, but I don't know. It's major risk with minor reward, right? You're only going to gain a 1/10 of a second off of doing that if you don't get the penalty, but if you get the penalty, you lose an extra 40. So it's definitely not a risk willing to take. So I have to assume it was just a complete accident, just looking at his pit board a little wrong.
We're taking a look back at it as he enters his box.
Yeah, he just speeds up right here. It's kind of hard to tell because you can kind of see whenever he gets closer to the wall.
I could see he gets a little bit faster there. I definitely could tell there was a difference there in his speed. And I mean, like you said, just risk versus reward. I think he realized that Stephen Hayes had, took away his opportunity to undercut. And so it was like, well, I mean, I got to try to get this time back on pit road. And unfortunately, he lost way more than that, as he is, of course, fought his way back to 17th, but he is 1 lap down. And he's not even a lucky dog. That's going to be the sad part about it. But Stephen Hayes now out to 1.6 second lead on his brother, Michael Hayes. Could have come down to a battle between brothers again here. Of course, Michael Hayes, I do believe, a little bit slower at the moment than Stephen, just considering he actually is on older tires at the moment. But I kind of called one thing, though. DJ Honeycutt's up in the top 3. I kind of figured this guy might have an opportunity to get a podium here. I haven't seen him in competition in quite a while. I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think last season DJ Honeycutt was our champion.
Yeah, he's having a good run. I mean, he started 6th place up to 3rd, like you mentioned, and I want to say he's got a little newer tires than Hayes. I think Hayes is on a drastically different kind of shortcut. I can check here in a few minutes, but I do think that DJ's got a good chance here for a podium. But I think Chad McGinley, you know, he was fast too. After we saw him get clear on the long run, Chad seemed to be one of the fastest trucks. So, you know, if he could maybe, I don't know, have a restart, start in the top 2 or 3, and just kind of stay with the pack earlier or better earlier than he did in the race, then I think Chad McGinley could kind of be a threat for the lead here too.
Yeah, I think so. I think if Chad has to have some things go his way, but he's got the speed, very much so. I think this is the fastest car that Chad has probably unloaded in competition in the Global Racing Truck Series. You know, we've seen him early in the season. He was really strong. He got a couple wins early, but then has faded a lot. You know, this later season. But it looks like he's found that race-winning pace once again. I mean, I mentioned it before too that he was the fastest in practice. So, I mean, he's got speed. He can definitely do something with it. It's just going to be all about if a caution or something comes out, I think that could help him get all of that time back. I mean, he has 8 seconds to get up to Stephen Hayes. You know, it's possible, but he's not running fast enough lap times at the moment, I think, to make that feasible.
Yeah, if this runs green after McGill's mistake, I really think that this is just Stephen Hayes' race to lose. But, I mean, it's Richmond, right? It just takes one little spin, one little lazy spin coming off of turn 2, and we'll get a caution.
It's Ron Harrington.
And
Yellow flag. You just spoke that into existence.
It's the exact thing.
You just said that, like, literally, I was like, wait a second, is that a blue car sideways on the backstretch? And there's Ron Harrington sideways on the backstretch, and that is going to bring our first caution. But what, man, that's impressive. 103 laps before we saw a caution. Isn't that impressive?
That's the definition of a lazy spin, too. Whenever we see the replay of it,
he is just backed up. He could have stayed down, but he backed up.
Like, that is the definition of a lazy spin. He's coming out of the corner. Just the back end just barely steps out. You know, it's not. You see, that's not an aggressive spin, but he just. I mean, he. You know, it kind of sucks because he's off the racing surface there. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe we didn't need a caution for that, but iRacing threw one. So, I'm excited about it. We got the field back grouped up. It's going to be interesting here to see what Austin McGill does, right? He's not the lucky dog, but I imagine, well, everybody in front of him might not pit because of the tire set issue that we have. But with that long run, I would probably come down and pit. It looks like Stephen Hayes is on pit road, most of the leaders. David Holsey actually stays out. I would have pitted. I think it's the smarter call. But David Holsey not pitting actually holds Austin McGill a lap down because I believe McGill was behind him on the racetrack. So, yep, Austin McGill is actually going to get held a lap. Not held a lap in the pits,
but his own teammate.
Yeah, that's kind of shocking. I feel like I would have had a little bit more grace from my teammate there to get the wave around because McGill needed it. But I think that he'll be the far and away favorite to get the lucky dog here on the next run. So, you know, maybe it won't be too bad if he can get an early caution.
We'll see. I mean, yeah, that's kind of crazy. I mean, I know those guys are in the same Discord chatting, but I guess David Holsey just thinks this is his best call. I do like him saving tires. I think that's a good idea, just considering you even talked about it before, how limited that we got. I mean, 50 laps per run. If he saves one set and goes a little bit longer than the rest of these guys, and it comes down to a caution at the end of this thing, and we, you know, and no one else has tires and he does, that could be a genius move from David Holsey. But the thing is, we see a caution here. Everyone's going to be bunched back up. We haven't seen them really bunched back up over the last, 50 or so laps. So, I mean, I think that could be cautions type material.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see kind of how all these wave around trucks and whatnot, or well, not wave around trucks, but whenever we get grouped back together, I'm interested to see how the people who tore up their stuff really, really early on the first run kind of change what they're doing, right? I really want to see that. I want to see if there's any big difference in, Mark Royce, for instance. I mean, I know he's now 2 laps down, so maybe he's not the best one to look at, but like Dale Brooks, right? He had eventually really worn his stuff out. He's back to 11th place, so I'm interested to see, is he going to save tires a little bit better this time and prioritize the end of his run? Because he had started falling through the field a little bit, and we know he's really fast. So I'm interested to see kind of how that changes run to run.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see. I mean, that was another opportunity as well for a driver like Dale Brooks to make adjustments to his race car as well. So I do suspect that could be something that's definitely on his mind for sure. And it looks like go ahead.
I'm sorry. I kind of want to point out that David Holsey could have gone down pit road and just not taken tires, right? He could have just not stopped in his box and still given his teammate the wave around. He would have came out in first, just like he is right now, and his teammate would have gotten the wave around. So if I'm Austin McGill, I'm maybe a little upset. But if we do have a caution, like I said, Austin McGill's definitely the favorite to get the lucky dog. I think he's just going to be battling Don Blazier. I'm not sure if Blazier pitted on this stop. If he did, and I'm Austin McGill, then I'm really scared because Don Blazier on new tires is probably going to be faster than Austin McGill on 15-lap old tires.
I don't think he pit. I think Don is on the same set of tires that Austin is on. But no, hindsight's always 20/20. I think David Holsey probably wishes he had thought of that. I mean,
yeah, it is kind of a niche one, but.
But here we go, green flag back out in the air here. Second restart, should I say first restart technically here tonight, as David Holsey gets going pretty good, but you can tell just a significant difference in his tires. Stephen Hayes already back to the lead. And now I think Holsey's going to be falling through this field like a stone. I think this is definitely a missed opportunity here for the 57, unfortunately, as he loses now second place, now falls to third. DJ Honey slides right in front of DJ Honeycutt. Honeycutt's definitely going to be trying to get by as well. I think everybody's going to be treating the 57 like he's got the plague here. Oh, there goes Honeycutt
goes
around, and the yellow flag is out.
Good job keeping it off the wall, though. It's a tough track not to hit the wall whenever you come off turn 2 and spin like that. So really good job from DJ not to hit it. But yeah, that's just the product of David Holsey staying out on old tires. I bet you he comes in and gets them now because he dropped 2 places in 1 lap. And I believe, Austin McGill had the lucky dog position, it looks like. So Austin will get back on the lead lap. He's just got to come through the pack on everybody.
Yeah, you see, Honeycutt. I wouldn't blame David Holsey for that, but I think that kind of made an intense situation for the 15 to where he thought, that I need to gas it up to try to get around Holsey, and unfortunately he gassed it up too soon on the exit and spun the race car out. Like you said, though, great job keeping that off the wall. That could have easily been a terrible situation. I mean, that wall was right there. I mean, he was an inch off of it whenever he came to a stop. So really great job to him. I think now's the perfect time. We'll go ahead and take another quick commercial break. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Some more racing here in the Global Racing Truck Series at Richmond.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Grid Vision. We definitely are excited to be here on this lovely Sunday afternoon as we're covering some Global Racing Truck Series. Of course, my name is Brian Britt. I have Austin Edstrom as my co-commentator. Austin Darbyshire down behind the cameras, and it has been a really interesting race. I'll tell you, I've thoroughly enjoyed myself as we're closing in on the halfway point here of this 250-lap race. Austin, how you been enjoying yourself here?
Well, you know, it got a little spread out, but we were able to have that good little battle for the lead where it looked like McGill was gonna maybe pick him off at some point, and then the caution came out and kind of screwed McGill after that penalty. So, the caution didn't screw him. It kind of helps him out, and then he gets really helped out with the next one. But he kind of got screwed over by his teammate. I kind of think we need an Austin McGill cam on this restart because he is going to be starting at the back of the pack, and we know he's got race-winning speed. So we're going to see Austin McGill come from dead last in the field and probably challenge for top 5 here pretty soon if I had to bet.
He's on the newest tires, I do believe, in the field as well. Here we go, though. Pace car lights are out, and the pace car is dipping down pit road as Stephen Hayes gets the call for the green flag. And it is Stephen versus Michael, just like last week as we take a look through the 99's hood camera, roof camera. He has definitely already gotten to work, sitting in 17th right now.
He is behind all the lap trucks too because he got the lucky dog and got to start at the rear of the field. So he's going to be trying to make quick work on as many people as possible here, just making quick passes. And like you said, he does have newer tires. It's only by a lap. Oh, Bobby Mantle, I believe that is going through the dirt. I don't think that's going to be a caution because he's off the racing surface. Kind of had a good camera view for that. Nice that we were following McGill on the hood there. But yeah, I think Bobby Mantle's going to get that straightened out and we won't have a caution as we've got some good fighting about for 5th place, I believe.
That we do. You see David Holsey. He's, of course, I do believe being challenged now by Joshua Slade. This is the highest I do believe Slade has ran today, and of course started deep in the field at the back. Has definitely been making his way closer and closer to the front here. And I think he's going to make quick work of David Holsey. Of course, Holsey is on older tires, but has been able to defend some of these positions. But you can tell he just does not have the grip on exit that a lot of these other drivers do.
Yeah, if we can get like a 10, 15 lap run, this will actually turn out really, really well for David Holsey. A 10, 15 lap run and then a caution comes out because nobody else is going to pit with how little tire sets we have in this race. So if we can get, like I said, 10, 15 laps, it really doesn't matter how far back David Holsey falls because he'll probably be one of the only to pit and take on that new set, and then he'll be able to climb through the field really easily after that. So I do kind of like the strategy call. I think he knew he didn't have race-winning pace. And, you know, if the strategy runs right, we get one more caution in 15 laps, and then it runs green after that. David Holsey could just win the race on outright pace on the new tires.
Yeah, I mean, definitely possible. I mean, Richmond's a place of strategy. I think strategy, I know last night in the actual truck race, that was pretty much what won that race. I mean, was a strategy call from Carson Hocevar. So could we see something similar here in the simulator? I mean, I'd say it definitely parodies real life.
Yeah, it definitely does, and you know, Majeski's crew chief might have thrown that race away last night, but you know, here today, I don't know if we're gonna have any crew chiefs on the box throwing it away, but there could be a couple drivers who may not have the strategy dialed in just right. You know, Austin McGill though, he's picking up positions every single time I look back at him. I think he's up to 12th place now. He just passed Ricky Hudges, I believe. So he's just making quick work of a couple of the cars at the back of the pack. As you would kind of expect from a driver of McGill's caliber, and we'll see if he can get back up. I kind of want to talk about Michael Hayes, though. You know, he started at the back, so we couldn't really see if he had race-winning pace at the beginning of this, but he did a great job climbing up through the field, ended up getting a second whenever that caution came out, due to a little bit of pit strategy, short pitting on a couple of the other guys in front of him. And, you know, he's hanging with his brother here for, you know, he's just about a 10th and a half back. He's actually looking to the inside of him right now. Coming off of turn 2, we can see if Michael Hayes gets a nose on him. Very impressive of him coming from 15th on the grid, now battling side by side with his brother for the lead, and he's going to take it going into 3, just outbreaks his brother. Kind of the opposite thing that happened on the last lap last week. You know, Stephen Hayes was on the inside going into turn 3 in the last lap and just slide jobbed him. That time Michael Hayes just outbroke him going into the corner and takes the lead pretty easily.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a surprise. It seems like every week we're seeing these guys, it's brother versus brother here, and definitely big mover out of those, you know, from Michael. I mean, to start all the way back to 15, be up in first right now. Joshua Slade, though, he started back in 18th. He's in 5th right now. So there's a lot of drivers that started way deep in this field. that are now up towards the front. You love to see it as, of course, the battle still rages on. Michael Hayes, of course, pulling up now, I do believe, to the rear end of Bobby Mantle. Mantle's going to be desperate to try to stay on the lead lap after his spin that didn't bring the caution out.
Yeah, for sure, but I'm just not sure there's really much he can do. You know, Michael Hayes has proven he's really, really, really quick. And, you know, Bobby Mantle, after the Mid-Ohio and New Hampshire race, I thought he would have a whole lot more pace here tonight, but, you know, he's just kind of had a little mistake there a little earlier, and, you know, he just didn't have the pace on the first run either. So I'm kind of surprised to see Bobby Mantle not quite have the same stuff as the guys up front around him. But, you know, it's still early in this race. If he gets another caution and the lucky dog, he could absolutely work his way back up through the field. But as you were mentioning, Joshua Slade, I mean, after New Hampshire, he must have gone to school. I mean, he has absolutely done a great job working all the way up to 4th place here after starting 18th. And he was really good on the long run too, making passes. So I'm very, very interested in, you know, Joshua Slade's progress over the past couple weeks.
Yeah, he's always been a good driver. I mean, as long as I've seen him, he's always been really, really good, but it always just seems like he kind of steps on his own toes or trips himself up. And this could be the turnaround race he possibly needs. Is a lot of lap traffic. See Bobby Mantle kind of holding up Chad McGinley a little bit there. McGinley, another one we should really talk about. Lap time-wise, last time by he was faster than the guys in front of him. I think Chad's got race-winning pace as well. I think that Chad McGinley, if he gets the right opportunity here, could end up winning this race as well. I think that's what's so crazy about this event here today, as we, of course, crossed the halfway point about 5 laps ago, that anyone can win this. I mean, I think there's probably about 5 or so guys in this race right now that all have the pace to win this race.
Yeah, they either have the pace or they have like a strategy option, right? Like, even if Chad McGinley, maybe he slows down a little bit over the long run, right? I really think that he could make a strategy call to win the race. You know, Stephen Hayes, even if he can't get past Michael, he can make a strategy call. Joshua Slade, I mean, that's something that is so amazing about the high degradation racetracks on this service. You can just get cool strategies where you may not be the fastest, you might be 3rd or 4th fastest in the field, and you can still win the race just by being a little smarter than your competitors. So it's really interesting to see how that will kind of shake out as we keep going down. But, you know, we were talking about Austin McGill earlier. He's now in a side-by-side battle for 7th place, and he takes it easily. He's already through. He started at the very back of this pack, and he's up to 7th place.
Yeah, for sure. Of course, he was getting by his teammate Steve Gerber. Now going to be coming up to his teammate David Halsey. Of course, Halsey, I'd say, he's been doing a good job. I'm surprised at him being on a little bit of a deficit of tires. He's still holding on to 6th. Now, he might not have it long considering McGill is coming, but I'm very impressed with this 57. I mean, I got to say, I was very apprehensive about this call. I thought it was a good idea to save tires, but then again, I didn't think it was a very good idea to hurt your teammate like that. But it all kind of worked out. I think this 57 we talk about winning it on strategy. This 57 could win it on strategy alone just because of the fact that he has an extra set when no one else does. Absolutely.
He kind of needs it to be I don't know, he's going to need the cautions to fall his way, right? But he's the only one on that strategy. So if they do fall his way, he's the far and away favorite. So I'm really interested to see, and he might only fall back to about 8th or 9th on this run with how well he's holding up right here, unless he's just absolutely burning his stuff up to stay up here. But, you know, it doesn't really look like he's driving too hard right now, but he's doing a good job. I think he's just about to give the spot to his teammate Austin McGill here. He's not going to make it hard on him. You know, and that's going to, you know, just kind of go to save his tires too. He doesn't really push him for that corner there. So he's running good lap times.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting ready to say. I mean, he's running good lap times. He's running lap times that are better than 3rd, 4th, 5th. Everybody around him, essentially, except for Austin McGill, he's running better than. So, I mean, I think David Halsey weighed his decision very, you know, I think he put a lot of thought into it. I think that it seemed like it paid, you know, he knew what he was doing. It seems like it's working for him. But I think, like you said, he could have did it a little bit different, maybe by driving through pit road and then, you know, and still came out with the lead. But, you know, hindsight is always 20/20. As, of course, Michael Hayes up in the lead. He's got about a 7/10 of a second lead on Stephen Hayes at the moment. Of course, Chad McGinley sitting in that 3rd spot. Joshua Slade, highest he's been, he's sitting in the 4th position. I do believe he just got by Bobby Mantle. Mantle still trying to hold on as best he can. Of course, I do believe he is going to be the lucky dog if a caution comes out.
Another driver we haven't talked about today, Justin LeBlanc. He's now actually getting battled with by Austin McGill. So McGill now working his way up into the top 5, but LeBlanc has had a relatively quiet day in that 85 Red Bull machine, and I think that's kind of a good thing for him. As we see William Brown Jr., I do believe, is actually on pit road.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with having a nice quiet day at a track like Richmond, right? If we're not talking about you, that probably means you're running about 4th to 6th and you just haven't hit the wall. So I wouldn't really say that's necessarily a bad thing. I believe last week, I don't remember who it was, but there was someone who finished in the top 3, and I didn't really have any questions for him because we didn't really talk about him through the race because he didn't do anything. He just kind of sat in 3rd place the whole time, and that's great for the points. Even if you're not getting talked about on the broadcast, at the end of the day, you're running for the points. And Justin LeBlanc sitting in 6th place, whether it's a quiet race or not, that's just kind of what you need. We talked about Paul Bergoli in the NIS being one of those drivers that just kind of has a quiet day throughout the entire time, and then by the end, oh my goodness, he's in the top 5 out of nowhere. So that could be the kind of race that Justin LeBlanc's running right now.
Yeah, and here comes Austin McGill, though. He's going to be challenging Joshua Slade. So McGill definitely on his way to the front, but I do believe it's going to be quite a large mountain to climb. He's got 3.7 seconds to get up to Michael Hayes. That is I don't know if that's insurmountable, but it's definitely close.
I think it probably is insurmountable. I think he's going to need a caution just for the simple fact that we saw in the last run, whenever he was, a second and a half behind Stephen Hayes, it took him a long time to finally wind that gap down, and then even whenever he did, it opened back up because he had probably burnt his stuff up to get back up to him. So I really think that because he had to come through the field, we're not seeing the negative effects of it yet, but I imagine he's burnt up his tires a little bit just to get to where he's at as quick as he has. But I don't think he's going to be as quick on the long run this time as he was on the first big stint, but if he gets a caution, he'll obviously be right back in this race now that he's got back on. Oh, and there's a caution. Yeah. This is the second time I'm talking about a possible caution.
About cautions and they come out. What is going on here?
Unbelievable. Yes, that's DJ Honeycutt again. I don't even know what to say.
I could say something about cautions and they don't come out, but when you say something, that's when they come out.
I'm going to keep my mouth shut from now on.
And look at that. That wasn't even on Honeycutt. That was, I do believe that was Ricky Hudgens losing it on the exit of turn 2. And unfortunately, hitting DJ Honeycutt. Now, I don't think Honeycutt got a lot of damage out of that, but I do believe he did hit the wall that time around.
So I want to highlight, we were talking about David Holsey, and he needs the cautions to fall the right way. I think the caution just fell the right way. Now, don't get me wrong, I think everybody comes to pit here because I believe you can make it on gas here. So everybody's going to make it just so they don't have to pit again. But that's still the first caution that he needed to fall his way. Everybody else has used 2 of the 5. So everybody's only going to have 2 sets left for the rest of this race, except for David Holsey, who's going to have 3. So I think that's the first kind of tick in the box for David Holsey to really get into this race to maybe win it towards the end. So I'm kind of interested to see how the strategy is going to play out at the end of this thing. And we mentioned DJ Honeycutt there. Unfortunately, he actually got the wall that time, but he still did a good job getting it locked down and minimizing the damage. I don't think that he's got a ton of front end damage. Yeah, he's got none. There's no front end damage on that truck. So even though he got the wall a little bit, did a great job of locking it down as early as he did. And it's going to end up being no harm, no foul on his part.
Yeah, definitely. Good job to him. He just lost some track position. So we'll see if we can kind of recover. But it looks like, David Holsey, I think he's going to be the one to watch. This also helps out Austin McGill, because, of course, we talked about that 3.7 second gap that he had. Of course, he started, I do believe, outside of the top 15 on that last restart and drove his way up to, I do believe, 4th. So, I think this is going to be a good day for the 99. Of course, we see, do believe, he's going to be in 4th still. This is going to be interesting to see how this kind of works out. I can't wait to see what this battle looks like. 148 laps now into this race, and we have a whole lot of different moving parts here. I love this. This is gonna be a gift unwrapped as the rest of this race goes on, as we're coming up to 100 to go.
Something else we're gonna need to watch out for towards the end of this race, if we get a later caution, that race off pit road was unbelievably tight. That number 1 pit stall, it seems to be pretty overpowered. Stephen Hayes almost, it's literally just very front of his bumper missed out on getting the lead back from Michael Hayes on just because of a good pit stall. So I'm interested to see if that kind of comes into play later in this run. And like I mentioned, David Holsey, I mean, that caution couldn't have fallen more perfect for him. I really think, you know, if he gets another one in 20 more laps, he will be the only one to pit, and he could just fly through the field.
Yeah, for sure. No, and I definitely agree. I think he's got a really good chance here. I mean, you even talked about it. I know whenever we kind of started this broadcast, I talked about, oh, only got 4 sets of tires. You were like, what? You kind of started. I mean, it means a lot that you have that extra set, and I think David Holsey knows that. I think he's like, you know, I'm hedging my bets here, Richmond. I'm gonna put my money on I'm gonna need that set of tires, and it seems like like you said, all the dominoes are falling in the correct order, and the more cautions we have, the more likely we're going to have even more cautions. So I do suspect that cautions always breed cautions. I mean, we got a lot of drivers that are trying to work their way forward. I mean, we got Austin McGill, who's been trying to drive his way up to back to the front again. That any type of aggression could cause issues. We have a slow car on the racetrack. Bobby Mantle, I think, trying to slow down to let some other drivers go, and that has caused a delayed green. But I do believe we'll be going green this the time after this time by.
I'll just be sure that whenever I think David Holsey needs the caution, I'll just start talking about it again, because it seems that's all it takes for us to get a caution. So, you know, in about 20 laps, you're going to start hearing me say something about a lazy spin off of turn 2. So that's just kind of what I'm going to do here. I want to see the strategy come into play. And even if it doesn't, I think we're going to get a good race for the front. Turns out we've got 3 or 4 really, really good trucks that I think that could contend for this. And, you know, Austin McGill's in the non-preferred line, but we saw him make a mistake at the beginning of the race and fall back to 6th place, and still was able to just about get to the leader's bumper by the end of that run. So definitely don't count McGill out, even if he falls back on the restart, because that outside lane just doesn't really get going. But yeah, I mean, we're going to have a hell of a race here towards the finish.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't count out that high side, though, because, I mean, Stephen Hayes is on that high side, and, you know, Richmond is a track that, you know, on the restarts, if you're able to really time the start correctly, I think that you can make something happen. But we're going to get ready to find out. Pace car down pit road. Green flag is back out in the air here at Richmond Raceway. Really good restart for Michael Hayes. And looks like Stephen Hayes kind of not getting going. I thought he was going to have a better restart than that, but unfortunately did not. And it kind of holds up Austin McGill. Oh, McGill kind of comes down a little bit. Really close race between him and Chad McGinley, as the battle for third is raging on. Looks like McGill getting a little bit tight. There's the cold tires still battling for third. That's going to allow 1 and 2, the Hayes brothers, to kind of hopefully pull away. I think that's what they're thinking.
Yeah, very well could, as long as Chad McGinley stays on Austin McGill's door here. But it looks like McGill's actually going to clear him going into turn 3. Maybe not quite, but the run off the corner should be pretty good. He uses just about all the racetrack going up all the way almost to the fence, to the 3rd lane. And he does clear him before turn 1, but Chad could definitely outbrake him just to get his nose back under there. Looks like he's going to be pretty gracious and not do that, though, and McGill's going to get a good straight exit off the corner, and he's going to set his sights on the Hayes brothers.
Yeah, you see McGill getting really loose off these corners. I think that's just him this sheer trying to put the power down to get clear of Chad McGinley. But McGinley is no slouch. He's hard to pass. Here comes Joshua Slade. Slade's going to try to see if he can't possibly work his way up into that 4th place position. Of course, Slade was in 4th earlier in the race. But it looks like McGinley not going to really give him. He did not want to give him any room to try to make that pass.
Smart move by Slade to back out, though. That was just an accident
waiting to happen. We got an accident. We do have an accident. Steve Gerber and Jeff Weimer both crashed on the backstretch. No caution. As we're going to definitely have to take a look back at this as the leaders actually are coming up to these drivers. They have got back going. No caution, but I do believe this is kind of going to be a little bit of a controversial wreck here between 2 drivers.
I'm so confused. I was talking about accident waiting to happen, and as soon as I said the word accident, an accident happens. I don't know what's going on today.
Right there.
If I just need to start speaking stuff into existence, I'm going to start talking about finding a girlfriend, finding $1 million on the ground. Neither of those worked, unfortunately, right there, but we'll see.
I'm shocked that didn't bring a caution out right there. I mean, that Steve Gerber it looked like Gerber got tight on Jeff Weimer. And unfortunately, now you see lap traffic coming into play. Gerber trying to stay on the lead lap. Of course, I do believe he has now gone a lap down. It's holding up Stephen Hayes a little bit here. This is not something that Stephen Hayes is liking very much.
I think we're seeing a little bit of tire strategy from Austin McGill too, because I think he's got the pace to run with these two if he really, really wanted to, but he's fallen off of them by about 1.2 seconds off the lead. I think that that's just a straight strategy play by Austin McGill to save his tires, because he knows, you know, this, I think everybody can make it on gas, so this would be the longest run of the race, because everybody was pitting around 80 to 87 on the first run. This would be about 100 laps, so I think that he's just playing it smart. He saw that towards the very, very end of that first run, he was slower than the leaders, so I think he's just probably playing it a little safer, making sure he doesn't burn that right front up, and making sure that he can get off the corner nice and straight, so that, you know, he's got good tire wear for the end of this race, so he can actually run down the haze.
I'll tell you what, Steve Gerber's definitely not making it easy for Stephen Hayes right now. He did finally let him go, but then he tried to dive to the inside of him. Hopefully he does not give his teammate as much problems as he has Stephen Hayes, as Austin McGill closes in quickly on the 8 here. And, you know, of course, we talked about fuel. I think these guys do have enough gas to make it to the end now. Of course, tires, they won't be able to make that. But do we see maybe a driver like Austin McGill, some of these guys maybe try to stretch it, and that's why he's saving gas, or saving tire, because he, you know, maybe want to try to go the distance. I don't know if that's a good call, though.
I actually think most of them are going to try to go the distance. I mean, don't get me wrong, whenever you put on the tires, you're going to be about a second a lap quicker. But pit road speed is 40 miles an hour, and that's a long, long time that you're going to lose. Just from the pit stop, you lose 2/3 of a lap. Like while you're stopped in your box, I imagine going down pit road, you probably would be a lap and a quarter behind the leader. So I don't know if you're going to be able to make up 30 seconds of time over 50 laps, just because there is kind of a plateau in the tires. So it's going to be dependent on whether somebody wants to run that kind of strategy. I really think McGill is on the no-stop strategy, because he's still falling back from the leaders, and we know he's got the pace to not do that. So I think Austin McGill is really thinking, I'm not going to pit here. Michael Hayes might, though. You know, the lead cars kind of have the first opportunity, or the obviously the best chance for either strategy to work, just because they're up front. So if Michael Hayes is thinking, screw it, I'm only going to go 50 laps and pit and cut this thing in half, you might as well use all the tires you can early and make sure that you build that gap. So I'm interested to see, you know, we could see a split decision from both the Hayes brothers, to be honest with you. And throughout the whole field, there could be a couple different strategies.
Yeah, definitely could be. As you see, Jeff Weimer now has gone a lap down. Of course, he just had an accident with Steve Hayes. Wow, he got incredibly close to the back end of Michael Hayes. As, of course, Stephen Hayes is going to be trying to see if he can't also get by the 73. Both of these trucks, Steve Gerber and Jeff Weimer, don't seem like they got too hurt, and still are holding somewhat speed. I mean, it took a while for Austin McGill to get by, of course, Steve Gerber. You do see, I do believe, a battle for 6th place. David Holsey's trying to get by Justin LeBlanc. As it looks like I keep seeing Holsey go to the inside, not quite able to actually get anything done here. This is also bringing Dale Brooks into the picture as well, who's up to 8. I know Dale's been really probably adjusting on that race car all race long, and it seems like he's actually making some sort of progress here.
Yeah, he's doing pretty good. We've just seen Dale towards the end of the run, though. He kind of loses it, so I'm kind of interested to see if he's backed it down just a little bit on this beginning of this run, just so he can make it, you know, and not have that kind of problem towards the end of the run. But, you know, he's still hounding the two guys in front of him as they kind of go side by side coming out of turn 2. I think David's going to tuck back in. Yeah, he didn't quite have the run, but David is just a little bit faster than Justin here, but Justin's not going to make it easy on him.
Yeah, not at all. Justin's just fast enough to make it difficult. That's for sure. But I think, yeah, and David Holsey, I think, is on a little bit. No, I think he is on the same set of tires as Justin LeBlanc as well. You see Michael Hayes got about an 8/10 of a second lead now. He's getting ready to put Mark Royce a second lap down. As we're now 170 laps into this show, let's do a quick rundown through the top 10. Michael Hayes up in the lead right now. I talked about him being about 0.6 of a second out front. Stephen Hayes sits in second place. He's been having a really good day. Started from the pole. Third place, Austin McGill. Fourth place is Joshua Slade. Fifth place, Chad McGinley. Sixth place, Justin LeBlanc. Of course, seventh place, David Holsey right there in the mix as well. Dale Brooks sits in eighth. EJ Luna is in ninth place. Matthew Oscalera is in 10th. That is a look at the top 10 at the moment. Definitely some really talented drivers. A lot of guys have been moving back and forth through this field. And a little bit outside of the top 10, I see Ricky Hutchinson, Bobby Mantle were just battling. Uh-oh.
But yeah, we see Austin McGill here still. I believe he's getting past a lap truck here, but McGill is just still kind of falling off the lead a little bit. I really do think he's just absolutely saving tires to make a good hard charge towards the end of this run. But yeah, he lost another 10th there, but he did have to get around a lap truck of Mark Royce there. But I'm interested to see what the 2 leaders are going to do. They've been running really freaking fast lap times. You know, if they want to split it in half, they've got another 25 laps they need to make it on these tires. But I imagine they probably need to extend the lead over Austin McGill more than 2 seconds, right? They probably need a 3 or 4 second gap over McGill to maybe make their strategy work. And we could see something very similar to what we saw in the truck race last night, where Carson Hocevar pitted and Majeski didn't. And, you know, Hocevar had, I believe, a 4 second lead over Majeski beforehand, and he was able to make it work in 40 laps. So if they do the split strategy and pit 50 laps in, it'll be, you know, they'll have 10 more laps than Hocevar had last night. It just depends on if McGill can be more dominant than Majeski was on the old tires.
Yeah, it looks like we do have a green flag stop. Mark Royce coming in to pit road. He's going to be, I do believe, going now 2 laps down, possibly even 3. Now, I think that's an interesting call. I mean, I know that race yesterday, the gap at the end, I mean, Majeski's, decision to pit was viable. I mean, it could have, or not pit was viable. He could have won that race if Hocevar hadn't pulled that strategy off. So, I mean, it was really close, too. I mean, it was not, it came down, I do believe, to the last 5 laps. So, I mean, could that be the same thing here? As you see, a lot of drivers still going a lap down. I believe Ronald Holmes just went, I do believe, a 2nd lap down. Actually, that's his 10th lap down.
Oh, excuse me. David Holsey did just do a good job of getting past Justin LeBlanc finally there for the 6th position. So even if his little strategy play doesn't go, his way and he can fight for the win at the end of this thing, he's still got, just about top 5 pace. Maybe he can run down Chad McGinley, but, oh, man, Dale Brooks just about, he might have gotten into the side of Justin LeBlanc there. I think I saw sparks coming out of the left rear of the 85 there. So just pretty hard racing here going into turn 3. That was kind of a similar mistake that we saw a lot in the NIS race on Friday night, where the inside car would just overdrive the corner a little bit and get into them. But, no harm, no foul. They both kept it straight and going, and nobody lost any spots. So, like I said, no harm, no foul. And they're side by side hard, pinching from EJ Luna behind them.
Well, the thing is about it, these two got history. EJ Luna and Matthew Escalara both, they hit each other on pit road. I mean, I would not be surprised if they're not too happy with one another right now. As you can see, the race is on, and you see DJ Honeycutt. Oh, big loose condition there from Escalara right in front of Honeycutt.
Oh, they're wrecking in front of him.
Oh, there goes Dale Brooks into the outside wall. Caution is out. And this is another win for, I'd say, David Holsey's strategy. As let's say, this is going to be interesting. Some pretty good front end damage on Dale Brooks' front end. Wonder what led to this.
He really just drove in a little, like, too deep into turn 3 from the looks of it. He didn't have any overlap, and LeBlanc really, LeBlanc, I don't think did anything wrong there. Dale just drove in a little too hard, and it looked like it could have been pretty meaningless contact. They were just a little sideways, but maybe just a little bit of an overcorrection, which is so easy to do. You just don't know quite how loose you are in that condition. If you just tug the wheel a little bit too hard to the right, you just completely kill yourself. So kind of unfortunate there for Dale Brooks. I feel like that wasn't, too egregious. It's just the overcorrection kind of killed him.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been a whole lot worse for Justin LeBlanc. I mean, he didn't really get much out of that. I mean, I think it was an interesting accident for sure. I think, like you said, Dale Brooks kind of sent it in way too hard there.
Bobby Mantle just about took Dale Brooks' nose off after this accident.
Yeah, he did. He got really close. I love this camera angle from Darbyshire right here.
Oh my gosh!
He did hit him, I do believe.
Oh my goodness. I didn't see any movement from the 32 truck whenever they were sideways after that. So if it was contact, it ended up being very, very light. But that was a scary situation right there.
Yeah, that's for sure. We're going to go ahead and take one last commercial break, I do believe, here this day. We definitely appreciate everybody out there tuning in. Of course, tune in back with us after our commercial break as we finish our race here at Richmond Raceway. Thanks for watching Grid Vision. We'll be right back.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Grid Vision. We just had some interesting developments. My name is Brian Britt, of course, Austin Estrom down there, or my co-commentator, I should say, Austin Derbyshire behind the cameras. Had some interesting developments. I wasn't paying attention, but David Holsey, first driver on new tires, still has a set left. Everyone else, I do believe, in front of him has stayed out. This could be, I think you even said, Austin, you think this is the call of the race. You think that David Holsey is probably in the best position right now.
If this thing runs green, David Holsey wins this race, hands down. I mean, everybody had one set left except for him coming to that caution. He had two, and now everybody's at one, and he's got 30-lap fresher tires than everybody. So David Holsey's going to be moving through the field. Michael Hayes gets an absolutely amazing restart here. Unfortunate for Steven, though, he's going to get passed by the third-place truck of Austin McGill real quick, and I think McGill did a good job of saving his tires throughout that entire last run. But I'm really just interested in David Holsey. If they stay green, David is going to be absolutely flying for the whole entirety of this run.
Very much so. You see Joshua Slade all over the back bumper of the 13 of Stephen Hayes. I think Slade is really desperate to get up here onto the podium, and I think he's going to be able to do it as he's underneath now the 13. Oh, he gets a little bit tight, slides up, a little loose off of turn 2. What a race so far. All these guys on the older tires. Really, I'm surprised we didn't see any wheel spin. This is a track I think that's notorious for that. Also, we see DJ Honeycutt. He's moved his way up into 8th, actually battling side by side at the moment with EJ Luna. And right behind him is the man that you were talking about before, David Holsey in the 57.
Yeah, David just needs to, kind of be patient here, right? Like, he's got absolutely amazing tires compared to the rest of the field. He's got 60 laps to make him work. I said he needs to be patient, but he puts it 3 wide, but that was a nice, clean move. 3 wide isn't always impatient, I don't think. I think if you can do it cleanly, get to the bottom of the racetrack and clear people, it's really, really good. And he did so good throughout the corner that he was actually able to get side by side with the car that was in front of the 2 wide battle that he entered with. So yeah, he's just going to be flying. We saw how good Justin LeBlanc was early in the run, and he's already the inside of him for 6th place, I believe, 7th place. Yeah, 6th place. I mean, David is going to be flying through this field.
And he's ripping right around the bottom, and he's got the maneuverability. I mean, the speed
is great. But I think what really sets those new tires apart from everybody else is that he has maneuverability. With taking those 3-wide maneuvers, he can hold it down there when the other drivers can't. So I think that's what the big deal is, that he's able to make those moves, and it works as he comes up to the back of Joshua Slade. Slade tries to block the move. I love what the back of that race car says sponsor. He's looking for some sponsors, ladies and gentlemen. As
Yeah, I
here
think
comes
that's
David Holsey up to 4th. Man, he is a rocket ship right now.
Yeah, I think that's a great point that you made, and you saw getting into the corner. Typically, if you're so fast entering the corner, he entered turn 1 a decent bit behind Joshua Slade. Here it is again, a decent bit behind Stephen Hayes, but he's able to just drive in so deep and get a better run off the corner because of those tires. I mean, he has moved through the field like it's absolutely nothing, and it's because it is nothing. He did a great strategy call from inside the cockpit to save a set of tires earlier. He kind of screwed his teammate a little bit. His teammates rebounded, so no harm, no foul there. But now he's the fastest truck on track by far. If this thing runs green, David Holsey is going to run away with this thing.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, and we were very much critiquing, I'd say, his decision, to try to save that tire. We were like, why is he doing this? He should have just came down pit road. But I think now it's starting to all unfold, and Holsey's like, it looks like a genius. I mean, he looks like a genius right now. And even if a caution comes out later, I think he's still going to be in a really good position. I mean, he's still going to have an extra set. He's still got a set left. I mean, and it's just really going to work out well for him. I mean, he's a half a second faster right now. He's going to take the lead, and he's going to set sail. He's going to set sail here as we're coming up to, I believe, 55 laps to go. As here he comes to the inside of the one machine of Michael Hayes. I don't think Michael's going to be able to really defend this at all.
No, not at all. In fact, it would hurt Michael to defend it. He's just got to fall in line, save tires, and he's just got to hope for a caution with about 30 laps to go, I mean, David Holsey, what a great strategy call that he made earlier in the early in the race to save those tires. I was so surprised whenever we were talking about the tire sets early that they only had 5 total. But this is why. You get these crazy strategy races where David Holsey was maybe 5th, 6th fastest, but if this thing runs green, he easily wins. And even if there is a caution late in the race, he'll probably get off pit road in about 1st place, at worst 2nd. So, I mean, if he can come off pit road 1st with that last set, because everybody's got one more set now, we've seen how good. Oh well, that's the one thing he doesn't need is to be blinking out. I would be so sad if I blinked out of this race after that amazing strategy call. But
it's happened. Holsey's had that happen before.
Oh man,
it's just something about that 57. He has bad luck sometimes. I don't know. It's just terrible to see. But yeah, he's definitely in prime position right now. But we'll have to wait and see how that kind of all plays out. I mean, look at Don Blazier. Don Blazier, another guy. I think he's on new tires as well. But I don't think Blazier... Yeah, Blazier has pitted twice in this race. Don Blazier has pitted twice in this race. If we have another... Like, if David Holsey can't win this race, if he runs out of tires, Don Blazier's there to pick up the baton. Because he's got two sets of tires left.
That's incredible strategy from both these guys. He's got 2 sets. I mean,
yeah,
that's maybe a little much. I don't think that he's going to have to use all those, but that's crazy. I mean,
I was wondering why he went a lap down early. I was wondering why.
Wow.
It's because he hasn't pitted this entire. I mean, like he's only pitted twice. I mean, it's just way crazy the strategies here for these drivers. As you see, here comes Blazier to the inside of McGill. Up to the top 3. The 23, we haven't said a word about Blazier all day long. And then he makes his call like this, and now he's up to 3rd. I mean, really awesome job from this team. I mean, 5 aces. They're the only one. They're geniuses. Creativity, you can't say they lack it. That's for sure.
I'm amazed at the strategy call by both of these guys. I can't believe he's got 2 sets of tires left at this point of the race. But that's the thing, though. You give up some track position early in the race because you know how much of a high degradation racetrack this is, and if you get the cautions to fall your way, it's really just about how you finish the race, right? So you make the strategy call to sacrifice in the first 50 to 100 laps of the race, and the last 50, we're seeing it pay off for both these guys. We didn't see either of them challenge for the top 3 positions at all throughout this race, and now they're probably easily going to be 1 and 2 in a couple laps. So, I mean, absolute masterstroke of a strategy from the 5 aces boys.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, genius. Absolutely genius. And I think that it shows a lot of wisdom as well. Because I mean, I know even in life, just life in general, you know, a lot of times you take that short-term sacrifice, right, for the long-term gain, and I think that's what these guys did. They really put that on display here. You know, with this call, you know, a lot of drivers. I know a lot of drivers have this issue on the track. Is that where they care about the temporary. I want to get that position now. I can't let someone pass me. You know what I mean, Austin?
Absolutely,
but these guys definitely didn't have that.
And if you're Michael Hayes, you got to be so upset, right? You thought you probably had this race won. You came from the back of the pack just off of pure race pace, right? You know, he got up tier through pure speed, leading the race, was able to pull out a 2-second gap on McGill in that last run, and now he's sitting in third place behind 2 cars that he passed standing still like 200 laps ago. So, I mean, Michael's got to be so frustrated to see the back bumper of Don Blazier, and he can't even see the back bumper of David Holsey. He's taken off so good, and Blazier's got right rear damage, and he's been able to just fly through the field here too. So, incredible work from both of those guys. I kind of hope it runs green to see this. I mean, I don't think Don's going to go up there and challenge for David, and we might not get a great battle for the finish, but I love strategy, and I love seeing it play out. So, I kind of hope it runs green to see these guys take their positions off of pure strategy.
Yeah, I mean, just to have the boldness to do what they did, you know, I hope it rewards them. That's for sure. Dale Brooks, another one, driving through the field right now. He's up to 5th place. He just got by, I do believe, Stephen Hayes. Another one, Bobby Mansell. Mansell was struggling early in this race. He went a lap down at one point. He's now up into 6th place, banging on the back door of the top 5. I mean, we're seeing a lot of drivers that were not up towards the front are now making their way up there.
Yeah, Bobby Mantle must have
strategy.
Bobby Mantle must have pitted on this last pit stop, and you know he's just moving forward, even though he's got all that damage, and he really wasn't that fast earlier in the run. So, just we might get a completely different top 3 than what we thought we were going to get 30 laps ago. I mean, if Bobby Mantle keeps his run through the field on the newer tires, we could be talking to 3 completely different people than we thought we were going to be talking to at the beginning of this race.
Yeah, and Dale Brooks is also on newer tires as well. I mean, he's one of those drivers that did pit on that last one, but I think he does not have any seconds left. So I think that was somewhat of a gamble for the 32. I mean, he's had an up and down day, just has not found the speed, and I think that he was like, I don't know what I can do. I'm going to make a decision here. And I think he threw a Hail Mary. I think, you know, he doesn't have a set left. If we have another caution, Dale Brooks is going to be up the creek.
Yeah, and I think that was, oh man, he got a little loose there, but I think that was really his only strategy call after nosing into the fence as hard as he did. I think that him putting on his last set, you know, he wasn't going to finish probably in the top 10 with all that nose damage on equal tires as everybody else, so he knew, hey, I just got to hope that no caution comes out at this point and take what I can get on the new tires even with the nose damage. But yeah, he's done a great job working his way up to the top 5 with that. So it's absolutely crazy how the strategy is played out here. We could be talking about Dale Brooks nosing it into the wall and then 50 laps later interviewing him for 3rd place. So I'm just dumbfounded by the way the strategy is played out today.
Yeah, and we do have a battle starting to come together here for the 3rd place position. Michael Hayes and Austin McGill. And of course, Dale Brooks is not far back as well from these guys. And of course, Brooks is on newer tires than both of these drivers. He could be up on the podium like you were just kind of mentioning. And this is interesting. I think McGill's definitely showing some significant speed. What's kind of interesting as well, the difference in tires is 40 laps. These guys are like 40 laps difference on tires. McGill and Michael Hayes are still running lap times that are comparable to the guys that are on newer tires right now. I think it's starting to plateau. I think it's starting to even out. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I definitely think it is, and you know they might be able to catch back up to Don Blazier because he does have that right rear damage, but David Holsey has done such a good job building up. He's got a 6-second gap over Michael Hayes now, so even if Hayes gets a little faster than Holsey towards the end of this run, he doesn't have a chance to get to him unless Holsey makes a catastrophic mistake. So I just can't commend the strategy enough from the couple guys up front.
Yeah, for sure. Now we have, I do believe, going to be 34 laps to go. This would be the time, I think, the rest of these drivers that are on this different on the, you know, only have one set left strategy, they would want to pit now. I think that if a caution was to come out, so we'll have to see if they get their answer. This will really be the time will tell to whether David Holsey's you know, strategy pays off. I mean, we don't have a whole lot of a whole lot of battling. I mean, we do see, I do believe, Stephen Hayes battling with Ron Harrington, of course, not on the same lap. Chad McGinley also, I do believe, starting to maybe have something going on there with Joshua Slade. Could see a battle kind of come to fruition there. But for the most part, everybody's being really minding their P's and Q's, and it's been a very clean race. It's up in the air. I think a coin toss whether we see a caution or not.
Yeah, and even if a caution does come out, I mean, David Holsey has kind of proven himself to be a really good short-run driver, and he would have the lead probably coming off of pit road. So I'm just really interested to kind of see, you know, I mean, oh man, someone got loose behind David Holsey. That was almost the caution right there, but he's able to keep it straight.
Now the battle is, I do believe, coming to fruition. Dale Brooks versus Austin McGill. Looks like we have Ricky Hudgens coming down pit road. And I think that was the driver we saw almost wreck David Holsey. But yeah, battle, I do believe, is starting to progress here for Brooks. Now, Brooks is on newer tires. Last time by, he was about a tenth or so faster than the 99. These guys are on such old tires that they're starting to struggle. You can definitely see Austin McGill definitely, I don't think he's liking the way his car's handling here. 70-plus laps on his tires.
Yeah, no kidding. But there's just not really much he can do. He can't really put up a defense against Dale Brooks. Even with Dale having the damage, I just think those new tires are going to be a little bit too much for him to handle here, even though, you know, Dale has kind of worn him out. I mean, McGill could pinch him down a little bit on the corners and just kind of defend the high line, but I feel like eventually those new tires are just going to get by him.
Yeah, I think that trying to defend too much is going to cause your tires to wear even more. So I think that he would just be better suited just go ahead and just go on ahead, you know? I mean, I just don't know if it's really, you know, and then you risk spinning yourself out and losing even more spots. I mean, I think Austin McGill needs to prioritize points right now. I mean, because he's been a race car driver this season that has been checkers or records, essentially, I'd say. I mean, when he's going to win a race, he dominates the show. He dominates the race. But whenever he doesn't usually finish the race if he doesn't win it. You know what I mean?
We did see last week at Pocono, you know, he was just pushing a little too hard trying to catch the two leaders, the two Hayes brothers, and, you know, he put himself in the fence coming off of turn 3 with a few laps to go and really killed his finish. So, yeah, you definitely are onto something there, but I feel like, you know, you get down to the end of these races and, you know, he sees the third place, he sees the podium right in front of him. So I think that if he can just stay in front of Dale Brooks as long as possible to try to run down Michael Hayes, I don't think that he'll give, you know, any leeway to Dale Brooks. But if Dale can get side by side entering the corner, you might see Austin McGill be a little nicer to see if maybe Dale can also go and get Michael Hayes. And then if they get to side by side battling, then McGill could maybe, you know, rebound and pop them both off. So we could see, but we're coming to 25 laps to go here. And, you know, their tires have evened out with the second place driver of Don Blazier. That lap, Don ran a 23.1, and Michael Hayes right behind him ran a 23.095. So they're catching them back a little bit, so they may be able to get back up to Don, but even so, Don's built a little bit of a gap that's going to be kind of difficult to overcome over 25 laps.
Yeah, and I don't think Don's been as consistent either, and I don't know if the damage is possibly affecting that, because I did know that, yeah, see, he's not consistent. Last time by 23.265, so he's kind of give or take, you know, moving around by like a tenth or so. And the time before that 23.0 was a 23.3. Oh, problems there for Mansell. Mansell, I do believe, just getting incredibly loose in front of Chad McGinley. Now, could we possibly get a caution that changes the entire complexion of this race? Mansell starting to struggle there.
Yeah, talking about the lazy spins. We saw a lazy spin from Bobby Mantle off of 4 earlier. Saw Ron Harrington do it off of 2, and man, Bobby Mantle's way too high coming off of turn 2, gets on the fence a little bit. He's just pushing a little bit too hard at this point of the run. I just don't think that truck's agreeing with him right now. He's been kind of fighting that loose condition all night, so it looks like he's going to lose a couple spots back here to Chad McGinley and Stephen Hayes. Stephen Hayes Stephen gets into his bumper. Stephen's a little sideways, but he saves it. Good save from Stephen Hayes.
Hayes was willing to risk it all to try to get him. That was close. I mean, he almost turned Bobby Mantle right there, and this is going to allow DJ Honeycutt to catch up there and possibly challenge for the 8th place position. Of course, Honeycutt has been very consistent. He's had, I think, a top 5 truck, but unfortunately just the cards have not fallen his way, is catching up to the back of Stephen Hayes of 13. And you can tell Mantle's still struggling, Hayes is struggling. I mean, there's a lot of drivers that are like, man, I need a caution now. And I think Stephen Hayes almost was getting ready to give us one.
Yeah, and I got to think that there's got to be some frustration in that from Stephen Hayes, right? He dominated the first, 150 laps of this race. He led most of it. And now he's back to 8th place, mostly off of, pure strategy. I think Michael Hayes and Austin McGill are the only two on the same, and Chad McGinley are on the same tires as him. So he's fallen back to 4th in the running order anyway, but actually 8th because of the guys on new tires. But you got to think he's just so frustrated. I mean, he led the majority of this race, and he's fallen all the way back to the 8th position.
Oh, yeah, that's got to be incredibly frustrating. I mean, but I think in a lot of ways, him dominating the early portions of this race, the same thing with Michael Hayes, I think that clouded their vision in a lot of ways. I think that they were like, okay, well, we're dominating this thing. No one's going to be able to take this away from us. And they were blind to the strategy that these other guys were able to pull off. They didn't, I guess, see the signs early enough. And unfortunately, it seems like it's going to definitely be the thorn in their side that's going to eventually cause them to not, do as well as they could. Of course, Michael Hayes definitely doing fine. I mean, lap time wise, Hayes just on pure speed. Even though he's 40 laps difference on tires, he's still running the same type of laps as David Holsey. But it looks like I do believe we just saw DJ Honeycutt actually make the pass on Stephen Hayes. So, yeah, definitely the frustration for Stephen Hayes has got to be just super high at the moment. But I think it's still in the realm of possibility that Michael Hayes catches Don Blazier. I mean, he's about, I do believe, now 9/10 back from Blazier. Blazier has not been as consistent as I think he'd like right now.
Yeah, you can see Don Blazer's truck is maybe just a little unhappier, towards the end of the run. I think that, I don't know, I think his setup might not just be quite as, I don't know, Michael Hayes is just kind of running them down. I think Michael Hayes is a really good long run driver, and, Don Blazier was running about 12th to 15th, I believe, so on pure pace. So, it's not too surprising, but obviously Don Blazier, very intelligent racer to be on this kind of strategy where he's got so many tire sets left by the end of this race. And, heck, strategy to get you up to second, you got to have some type of intelligence to make that work. But he does have that side-by-side lap car battle in front of him that might hold him up a little bit. But yeah, you kind of just touched on the inconsistency. He just gets a little twitchy out of some of these corners, and that's allowing Michael to, kind of close the gap. But we've got 14 laps to go, and catching somebody's one thing, but making a pass on somebody who's got 30, 40 lap fresher tires than you is a whole lot more difficult than just running them down.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, all that twitching and stuff like that, and all that, inconsistency, and not the, this is a tough track. I mean, Richmond is not an easy track at all. I mean, a short track that requires, very much you not treating that gas pedal like an on and off switch. And when you use it, get onto it a little bit too much, that kind of hurts your tires. I think that's what evening out Don and Michael right now. Even though he has newer tires, they're not, I'd say, fresh. I think they're being well worn at this point, because if you're not perfect on the throttle, you're burning the tires up. And I think that's what's going on with Don right now. As you see, Michael's all over his rear end now, and of course dealing with some lap traffic. Oh! That might have been a little bit of contact there as Michael Hayes. And that's brought Austin McGill. Here comes McGill.
Yeah, it looked like Michael Hayes was going to probably easily make the pass. He had run him down pretty good through the last couple laps, but, just a big bit of contact there brings Austin McGill right back to his bumper. Don Blazier really wants to see them get side by side, because if they're side by side, and here they are side by side going into turn 3 just about, McGill kind of lets off, gives the position back, and is going to try to undercut to get a better run off the corner as Michael gets side by side with the lap truck. Michael pulls down just a little bit to block the run, and McGill might make it 3 wide here going into turn 1.
Yeah, he definitely could. I don't know. I'd wait until I got by Weimer, because you're going to hurt your teammate if you bring a caution out right now.
That's so unfortunate.
Look at that. Look at that. McGill wrapping right around the bottom. And I think he's going to, nope, Michael Hayes gets the better run on the exit of turn 4. Side by side for second place. Austin McGill trying to take it away. And I think he does. He's clear.
Yeah, good move from both of those guys. Don Blazier just made a little mistake. Oh, man, another one from Don Blazier coming off at 2. You can tell he probably just ran his tires so hard to get through the field, get up to second place. Kind of heartbreaking to see him start falling back, but he could still hold on to a top 5 here. He just needs to keep that truck straight for the last 8 laps.
Yeah, he's still got time to hopefully keep it up there. Of course, Dale Brooks not that far back. I do believe 3/10 separate those two, and they're dealing with a lot of traffic at the moment. Brooks, I do believe, even though he is on, I do believe, the same amount of tires as Don Blazer, I think Brooks has done a much better job of actually saving those tires. But now look at the gap that David Holsey has on Austin McGill now, 9 seconds. What a strategy call from this driver. Side by side, though, for the 4th place position. Here comes Dale Brooks. And I think Don Blazer might be able to hold off Chad McGinley. McGinley does have about 1.2 seconds back, or two to get up to Don Blazer. We'll have to wait and see as we now come to, I do believe, coming to 5 laps to go this time by. What a race. It is almost over, though, as these guys have just, wow, put on quite the show. Strategy, we've seen green flag stops, we've seen everything under the sun here at Richmond, and I'll tell you, I don't regret showing up to watch this race and calling this race. I mean, they have made it easy, I'd say, to call this race, because there's definitely been plenty to talk about.
Yeah, between the hard racing and the crazy strategy, you know, even with David Holsey pulling out a 10-second gap here, you know, it being off of pure strategy makes it very entertaining, and seeing how the different strategies have worked its way through the field from 2nd to 7th here. I mean, it's just been really entertaining to see, and you know, we've got a hard battle for about 7th place right here. That could be the sign of our caution. I don't mean to jinx it like I have the entire race, but we saw Stephen Hayes get into the back of, I believe it was Bobby Mantle earlier, but Stephen got a little loose getting to turn 1 there, so we could see our caution come from these guys right here if we get one. But oh, there it is behind him. It might be behind him. Someone had a lazy spin off of turn 2. He's sideways into the fence. Oh, he escaped, so they didn't bring out the caution. My goodness, I thought it.
That's David Holsey's teammate, Matthew Escalara.
Oh my goodness, I thought it happened again, man. I was, I couldn't believe it. Oh, but yeah, just that lazy spin.
That C word, brother.
Caution, caution, caution. That's no, that was. Oh man, I would have been so upset. But Stephen Hayes just about gets in the back bumper of Bobby Mantle. But yeah, David Holsey just needs to get around these corners as quick as he can right here to take the white flag. As soon as that white flag comes out, doesn't matter if anybody wrecks now. David Holsey running away with this one.
What a call. David Holsey takes the final lap, comes out of turn number 2 onto the backstretch. Clear real estate out in front of him. No one to take this race away from him. And he, I do believe, is going to go to victory lane with an off-the-wall strategy call from the 5 Aces crew. And there he is, crosses the finish line. It is official. And what a performance. Austin McGill, of course, able to lock down, I do believe, the 2nd position, but he was so far back, he just crossed the line. The gap between holes, I mean, 10.5
Oh no,
seconds.
Don Blazer got wrecked coming out of the last corner. I can't tell what happened, but he's going to drop.
And Mantle.
Oh no. Mantle was able to cross the line sideways. Blazer wasn't. I'm not quite sure what happened. That was for the 5th place position.
Looks like, I do believe, Chad McGinley. Yeah, he just bumped him out of the way. I guarantee you Don's not going to be too happy with that. And Don Blazer drops a lot of positions back to, I do believe, an 11th place finish. I know the 23 not going to be too happy with the 28. Of course, McGinley, I do believe, prioritized points over being nice.
Yeah, I mean, Don Blazer definitely just kind of parked in the middle of the corner, but you definitely expect not to get, you know, wrecked coming out of the corner. So that's heartbreaking for Don. It looked like he might have finished P2 there for a little while, started falling back, and I mean, you know, you obviously can't put any blame on Don Blazer. Yeah, he just got ran through. I hate to say it, but he really did. That's super unfortunate for him, having to lose so many spots that he really shouldn't have there.
100%. Of course, this brings us to our Martin Sports winning moment. Martin Sports, a family-owned Michigan apparel company in the Michigan Upper Peninsula. They've been open for a decade and proved to be the best provider of custom apparel for everyone. Whether you're looking for apparel for your local sports team, business, special event, or maybe even if you're having a family reunion, they also have a major brand in sim racing apparel as well. I mean, of course, they make jerseys for some top teams. I do believe even some pro teams that are on iRacing, as well as they make gloves, which their gloves are really awesome. I actually have a pair of them myself. They graciously sent me a pair of free gloves, and I very much enjoy them. I don't race without them any longer. And if you'd like to maybe look into some of their products, check them out at martinsports906.com. And we definitely appreciate them being a sponsor here of the Global Racing Truck Series. With that, we'll go ahead and take a look from top to bottom here of our final result. And of course, David Holsey gonna win this race by over 10 seconds with a genius strategy call. Of course, his teammate, they had the strategy pretty well covered here. Teammate Austin McGill finishes in second place. So that's a 5 aces 1-2. Third place, Michael Hayes. Fourth place, Dale Brooks. Fifth, Chad McGinley. Sixth, Bobby Mantle. Seventh, Stephen Hayes. Unfortunately, he started from the pole, but still finished seventh. Not too bad of a day. Eighth place, DJ Honeycutt. Ninth, Joshua Slade. And 10th, EJ Luna.
11th place, we've got Don Blazier. Unfortunate on that last lap. He really deserved a whole lot better than that. 12th place, Stephen Knight. 13th, Steve Gerber. 14th, Justin LeBlanc. 15th, Jeff Weimer. 16th, Matthew Escalara. Almost brought out that caution at the end. Would have made it interesting, but didn't quite get that. 17th, Ron Harrington. 18th, Ronald Holmes. 19th, Ricky Hudges. 20th place, Mark Royce. 21st, William Brown. 22nd, Daniel Ott. And 23rd, Kenny Heath.
All right, that's a look from top to bottom. And now I do believe we're going to go ahead and get into the interview portions of today's race, and that'll be starting with Michael Hayes. Of course, we have him in the booth. Michael Hayes, awesome race here for you today. I know you kind of got undone by the strategy call. You dominated a lot of this race along with your brother, Steven. You guys seemed like y'all had really the two cars to be here in that Lone Star Racing camp. I mean, but you guys seem to just miss the mark when it comes to strategy. What could you have done differently?
Yeah, it took tires. I mean, we were all on our last set. A bunch of us were on our last set there, so it was a tough decision whether to come in and take it or and wait to see if we have a late race caution, you know.
No, I definitely understand. I mean, it definitely was a gamble. 50, pretty much a coin flip to whether a late race caution was going to come out. I think you almost ended up having one. I do believe we saw some drivers that ended up going sideways and having some contact, but unfortunately, a caution did not come out. The car was able to tow in time for that yellow to be avoided. But still, a really good race for you. I got to feel like you got to be somewhat disappointed because I know one got away from you last week at Pocono. Your brother kind of stole one from you on the last lap. How does this one feel?
Yeah, this feels worse than last week. This is like the most disappointed third place I've probably ever had.
Yeah, at least your brother won last week, right?
Yeah, I mean, not just for me, though, for today. Like, Steve, too. Like, either one of us should have won this race.
Yeah, for sure. It's unfortunate, but you can't win every one of them. But you guys have definitely been putting together some awesome finishes. Lone Star, definitely, I'd say future prospects looking really, really strong. Of course, next week we're going to head to Michigan. I think that could be another good opportunity for you. How do you feel about that track?
Yeah, Michigan's kind of tricky because that's a lot of drafting going around there. So that I haven't raced Michigan in a while, but from what I remember, it's kind of tough. Because, I mean, even if you're leading, you can get, there's like passing going on left and right. So, yeah, it should be fun, though.
Yeah, definitely will be fun. I think that's going to be an exciting race. I think today was an exciting race, but I think that one's going to be even more, just considering that's like a super speedway, and also, you have to save tire at that place. But we look forward to it, Michael. Great job on the third place. Sorry it wasn't exactly what you were looking for. Who can we give a shout out to?
Yeah, shout out to Lone Star. Shout out to the guys. I think we all pretty much finished okay today. Shout out to Global for having the races, and shout out to you guys, the regular.
Alrighty, well, hopefully the rest of your day goes well, Michael. Hopefully don't dwell on this one too much. We'll see you later, brother.
All right, thank you, Brian.
That was Michael Hayes, driver of the One Machine, finishing in third place. Next up, we're going to talk to Austin McGill, and he is standing by with the other Austin Edstrom.
Hey, Austin, pretty good run for you today. You kind of had that speeding penalty and were able to rebound really well, being able to finish second. And your teammate won, so you can't be too upset, I'm sure. But I imagine you're probably not too happy that you didn't get the win here today, as you finished first on your strategy call. Can you kind of run us through that, and what are your feelings on the finish of the race?
Yeah, you're right. I'm a little upset, but I'm also happy at the same time. I mean, my teammate did win after all, which is really good. We did get a 1-2, so gotta be happy about that. I made a bad mistake on pit road. I Had a little speeding incident. Got stuck a lap down, and then just I don't know. I just tried to keep myself clean and maybe get lucky with a few cautions, bring myself back on the lead lap.
Yeah, can you run us through the pit road incident? You know, we noticed that typically people get the speeding penalties on the entry of pit road, right? Just trying to get it slowed down. But it seemed that you got yours coming into your box. Were you just really hyper focused on finding your box, and maybe your foot slipped a little bit and pressed the gas a little bit harder, or were you trying to gain just a little bit more time getting into the box?
Yeah, I was trying to maximize the amount of time I could make up. The pit road around here is kind of curved, and my pit box was third from the end, so it's all the way around the bend, and I just had trouble finding it. When I did see my pit board, I kind of sped up a little too much, and just kind of dug myself into a hole, which I definitely regret doing.
Yeah, it looked a little tough from our point of view. It didn't look like you were too far over the speed limit. I think it was like 4 miles an hour, and it was pretty brief. So we thought it was a little harsh, but it is just coded in like that. Nothing you can really do about it. But then on the next caution, we saw your teammate David Holsey stayed out and prevented you from getting the wave around. We figured you might be a little upset about that. I know it's been about 100 laps since that happened. But were you not necessarily screaming and cursing, but were you like, "Come on, man, why didn't you help me out a little bit there?"
At first, I didn't actually notice that he was on the lead lap and stayed out, but it's just a sequence of unfortunate events. But I mean, it did work out in the end, so I can't be too mad about it.
Yeah, for sure. And he's running his own race, and it turned out to be a really good strategy call that he made as he was able to win the race. But at the end of this, do you have any shout outs for us that you want to give?
Shout out to 5 Aces. We had a really good run today. Finished P1, P2. Other teammates had a few issues late in the race, but shout out to all the guys that raced today. Had a pretty good turnout compared to other few weeks. And shout out Team TWRS, Team Watson Racing Setups. Thing was real fast today, especially on the long run. You could find our setups on teamwatsonracing.com. And shout out to you guys, putting on a great broadcast every week. I really, I do enjoy looking back at these races in the future.
Well, I appreciate you coming up and talking to us, Austin. Unfortunate you couldn't get the dub, but we're gonna pull in the race winner here, David Holsey, to get an interview from lead commentator Brian.
All right, well here he is, David Holsey, the genius, absolutely just genius decision to save a set of tires. I mean, we were up here like, what is he doing? Like, that is not a good decision. And it turned out it was the best decision that you could have made. You gapped the field by 10 seconds, David. I mean, was that the whole plan? I mean, you were like, I'm gonna big brain these guys.
Well, I mean, what happened was we wanted I wanted to lead a lap there to get some bonus points, and so I waited. I was the last one to pit. Right? And so I only had 14 laps on those tires, and I was running 10th. So I figured, if anything, man, I might lose 5, 6, 7 spots, and I'll be about where I was when the pit cycle comes around. And so I was banking on having an extra set there at the end, just in case we had a late caution. And man, it worked out perfect.
It really did, and it seemed like even though you were on the older tires, it didn't seem like you were that much off the pace. Like, we were kind of surprised at that. Like, you held on to 6th place for quite a long time, but it definitely seemed to play out really well. Now, we kind of asked Austin about how you kind of prevented him from getting a lap back at one point. Now, we were kind of asking, hindsight's always 20/20, but why didn't you go down pit road and you didn't even have to stop in your box? You would have let him by.
Well, I didn't even realize they were a lap down at the time, and they didn't speak up. And so I was like, dude, guys, you got to let me know, man, so I can, you know what I mean? I just didn't know. And so, yeah, it was a lack of communication by the team, but man, to go 1-2, with our new sponsor, Team Watson Racing Setups, man, that was a great way to start it off with the new sponsor.
Yeah, it's definitely 1-2 finish there for you guys, and just a genius decision. I mean, it almost reminds me of the actual truck race we saw yesterday with just a, decision to kind of go off of strategy a little bit and do something different. I mean, I wouldn't say I think Austin definitely had race winning speed, and I hate to tell you, but you had good speed, but I wouldn't say it was race winning. But you big brained it. You outsmarted everybody out there, and it just worked out perfectly. I know you got a lot of people kind of a little bit more upset. I know Michael
Yeah.
Hayes was like, "I wish I had pitted." Like,
Yeah.
but it definitely worked
It
out
just
for you.
worked out. We weren't going to win the race. We weren't going to win the race unless we did something off pace, right? And so, doing something, that everybody else wasn't expecting, got us the race win. It's hard to get wins in this league, and to get to this season, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I know you're always one as well that I kind of always comment on it about how you always seem to have bad luck. Whether you blink out and
Yeah.
something like that. I mean, something always happens. But this one, it seemed like everything went well.
Everything fell together, man, and we had great setups this week. TWRS put on some great setups for us this week, and man, the guys were super happy. We were pumped coming into this race. I think Don might have not finished in the top 5, but he was running in the top 5 before he got drunk there at the end. But and what a great race!
100%. Definitely glad. I'm sure you're glad to be back in victory lane. Gonna be moving up the point standings. Of course, Michigan's coming up next week. How do you feel about that track?
Oh, we feel good about Michigan. I'm sure we'll have a great set coming into next week, and I don't see any reason 5 aces can't put a 1, 2, 3, or put 3 or 4 of us in the top 5.
We almost did it today. I mean, if Don had was managed to stay up there in the top 3, y'all would have had a 1, 2, 3, but still a 1, 2. Nothing wrong with that. 5 aces is definitely heating up. I know you already kind of shouted out Team Watson. Anybody else we can give a shout out to?
Yeah, I give a shout out to Ron Wraps, man, for getting that new sponsor on the truck this week. Before the race, it's kind of last minute, and so thank Ron for that. And man, just I get to thank my team. We work really well together, and we give and take, and a great outing. It's awesome. And I got to thank you guys, man, for putting on a great broadcast every week, and we look forward to it.
All right. Well, I'm sure you're going to look forward to watching this one because it was hot and cold. We were like, me and Austin were like, what is he doing? And then you're gonna love it. We're gonna switch. We're gonna be like, he's a genius.
Well, we were more roasting him for keeping his teammate on the a lap down. That's what.
Yeah.
We were more like, oh man, he kept his teammate a lap down. That's so bad. But with only 4 tire sets, I mean, whew, great strategy call.
You got to be smart, and usually I make the bad decision, and that one worked out. So then it was great. So I apologize to the guys for leaving them lap down, but we didn't speak up ahead of time, and yeah, so it is what it is.
Yeah, definitely. Still worked out for you. You got you a good finish. Going to be moving up the points. 5 aces, definitely heating up. We'll see you later, David. See you next week at Michigan.
Thank you, guys.
Alrighty, that was David Holsey, driver of the 57 machine, wins the race here. Awesome job to him for sure. Awesome job to Austin McGill, Michael Hayes. I mean, Michael Hayes definitely had a fantastic showing. Also, really significant. Got to give a shout out to Dale Brooks. Really good recovery from him to finish in 4th place. I mean, I didn't think he was going to have it in him. I thought he had a terrible truck, but I think he worked on it all race long. Definitely also I almost need to hang my hat for Don Blazier. We need to have a moment for a silence or memorial for Blazier not having the best of races here after, he was up in the top 3, but definitely hope he's doing well and is not too upset. Still an 11th place finish, so not a bad point stay, but could have been a whole lot better for sure. Also do want to still offer prayers for that family. I know Don's going through a tough time, I do believe, with the loss of his brother, so do shout out the whole family. If y'all are watching, our hearts are with you. But with that, I do believe it is time to call it quits here with the Global Racing Truck Series. We'll look forward to seeing what next week looks like. I do believe we've got a schedule to look at real quick. And I do believe, of course, after this race, we're going to be starting the new week. Of course, no races scheduled for tomorrow. Hopefully we can change that, so reach out to us. And on the we have some links below in the description. Of course, on Tuesday, Martinsville in the Champion Power Equipment Truck Series, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And, of course, the following day, Wednesday, Thunderclap competition takes a trip to Dover. Ryan Truex very good at that track. I know Tyler Truex also wanted to really do well there at Dover. He feels like he's going to be the one to take the victory. That's 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Of course, Friday, we're going to continue our NIS coverage, and that's going to be at Michigan International Speedway, and I love that track. It's going to be an absolute blast. 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and, of course, back again on Sunday. We're going to be at Michigan. Let's see what can 5 Aces do. What is Lone Star? What is their answer? As those two teams seem to be the best right now at this point in the season. Tune in at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're definitely looking forward to it. Can't wait to see me and Austin. I love being up here in the booth with you, calling these races, brother.
Oh, yes, sir. There's a good couple Richmond races here to end out the week. NIS was great Friday night, and we had a absolutely amazing strategy race here tonight. So thank you for having me along in the booth with you again. It was a ton of fun tonight.
100%. With that, it is time to conclude the broadcast here on Grid Vision. We definitely appreciate Justin Levine, co-owner, Taylor Burris, also co-owner, our producer, Austin Derbyshire, and co-owner. Of course, also you, Austin, for doing such a great job calling these races. Of course, that being Austin Edstrom. My name is Brian Britt. Thanks, everyone, for watching. We definitely appreciate it. Make sure you continue to tune in as the week progresses. We always have some racing here, but we'll see you next time on Grid Vision.